all to the Bread Beckers. This is our fall baking class, but this is the allergy-free version. And Sharon, this is Sharon, my great friend Sharon Fescannon, who is just a pro at cooking gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, just about everything free you can imagine.
You'll feel free.
And you'll feel free. We're gonna free. And but making it all taste absolutely delicious, and I think that's the key. And I know Sharon and I both we really talked about things yesterday and how we wanted the class to run. But more than anything, I think she and I both came up with that we want to encourage you. We really want you to leave here encouraged, because I think sometimes when you get told you have all these allergies or your children have all these allergies, you're like, oh, great. This is just, how are we ever going to eat? We're never going to be able to go out. And Sharon has such a knowledge and depth of this whole process, because her son, and I won't steal her testimony because I think she'll share it, but her son, severe allergies and really bad skin issues. And after going to the doctor, and the treatments options were not that great, she did some research and found out that gluten was an issue for him. And she went totally gluten-free for him. She's now able to add some spelt back into his diet, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And so I just want to encourage you. And it's kind of like even last week in my fall baking class, how many of y'all were here in the fall baking class? One of the things that I got to think about, this whole title of this class is comfort foods, and I actually did a little research. I did find out that it's kind of documented that term was first used in 1977, comfort foods, to relate to food. And what does that actually mean? For most of us, it's when the weather starts getting cool. We just think, ooh, a nice little cup of pumpkin pie in a mug and a good old movie and a blankie or a good book. We just want to rest. And after just the summer and the heat and not wanting to cook and not wanting to eat. And I don't know about you, but I have made more cookies, more pies. I made brownies last night after working all day, and fajitas, and it's all of a sudden you're like, wow, I just want to make a pie. I want to make some donuts. I just want something ooey gooey is what I call it, and warm and fuzzy. And for most of us, that term comfort food typically revolves around holidays and memories and warm and snuggly and just giving us those feelings. But when we start thinking about those things, particularly holiday traditions, like my family's favorite cookie is this, and you start going, this is full of white flour, white sugar, white everything, junky, and you think we're going to have to do without. And just like I told my class last week, I have not found anything that I could not make actually better than the white flour, white sugar version, and my family has not suffered in the least. The brownies last night were honestly the best brownies I have ever tasted. I don't know what I did last night, just things were going right, because it's my recipe I've made all along, but they were just like perfect, and they were made with the freshly ground whole grain and sucanat with honey or honey granules. So that's what I want to encourage you. But now y'all kind of go a step further to take these comfort foods to an allergy-free, no dairy, no eggs, no this, no gluten, is a whole new realm. And so that's why Sharon when I met Sharon and I've tasted some of her yummy things, I actually went to a luncheon at her house. There was all kinds of food on the table that different people had brought. The best thing on that table were her pumpkin muffins. And I went away going, the gluten-free pumpkin muffins. How many of y'all can say that? Usually it's kind of like, okay, we're getting this down, So that's why we decided, let's do a gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free fall baking class. Now, not everything, like I said, the waffles do have eggs in it, and we'll try to tell you, but most everything Sharon is sharing is gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, nut-free. Yes. Like I said, you're going to
soy-free
and soy-free. So anyway, so we're going to go there. But the word comfort actually means, when I looked up the Latin root, the cum part comes from the Latin word con, C-O-N, and that means with, and the fortis it means strength. And so these kind of foods and these kind of things actually bring us strength. They strengthen us, they invigorate us. I love the scripture in Matthew 11:28 where it says, "Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden." And you may not kind of relate that to comfort foods because usually it's the holidays and you're like, I got to make these comfort foods. And it's anything but comforting. But when you actually get it all done and you get to sit down and relax, it does bring just some very warm and comforting memories. But I wanted to share this scripture. I got up early this morning. The Lord just kept putting this verse on my mind. And when I read it, it was so very much what I was thinking about with Sharon and I. Yesterday, our comment was, we want you to be encouraged. Sharon has walked the road that you are walking, and she's learned a lot along the way. And one thing I said to her yesterday is, sometimes when we have symptoms of illness, it can be discouraging. Or when we see our children have these allergies, we're like, ugh, and it can almost be like, this is just too much. But I want you to look at symptoms a little bit differently today. I want you to look at symptoms just like you do trials. It's an opportunity. A trial, you understand, is an opportunity to learn something. And then when you've walked through that trial or you've walked through that symptom and you've found an answer to that symptom, because to me, a symptom is the graciousness of God that designed our bodies so beautifully, and it's just like a warning light. How many times have you ever thought, if I had only known, I wouldn't have done this and this and this? A symptom is really, that's what it is. It's saying, hello, I want you to notice this and make a correction. And you can learn so much, and you can deal with so many things if we'll look at things that way. So here's the verse, 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of sympathy and the God of every comfort, who comforts us in every trouble, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any kind of trouble or distress with the comfort which we ourselves are comforted. And that's where Sharon and I are coming from today. And that's why, again, I hope you look at this not only as an opportunity for you to learn, but to know you're probably going to meet someone once you get a handle on some of these things and learn some of these things, and you see your health improve, your child's health improve, your family's health improve, that you're going to be able to say, you know what? You can do this, and you can make it taste delicious, and it might not be the end all. You might not have to stop there. Like some symptoms, people say, oh, well, there's no cure. You'll never get over it. I mean, I think Sharon was told that. Just, you're just going to have to use the steroids, the creams, and, you're just going to have to live like this. And that is not always the case. So I just want you to be encouraged and know that as you learn and you are comforted, and that's where Sharon's coming from. She's going to share with you from her wealth of wisdom and knowledge and the comfort that she found to comfort you. And remember that it's the God of all gods is the great comforter. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful day. And we just thank you for Sharon. I just pray a blessing on her. And God, I just thank you for her wisdom, her expertise, her deliciousness that she's bringing to our table today. And we thank you first and foremost for all the many blessings of just delicious foods, a variety of foods that you have given us to perfectly nourish our bodies. And we just thank you for that. In Jesus' name, bless this time that we have. Amen and amen. All right. So, do you have anything you want to share first, or do you want me to show them cooking a pumpkin first?
Yeah, we're going to, I guess, start right in. Basically, introduction of that is my walk, and I'm here to help you any way I can. I'm a novice at few things, so Sue's going to help me to learn about, we're going to learn about the pressure cooker and a few other things. So a little grace here. If something doesn't move a little way or whatever, we'll just kind of go with it.
We've never done this together, and we kind of just, so we're just going to go for it.
About it. The first thing we're going to do is Sue is going to show how we can put a pumpkin whole in a pressure cooker. So I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all have noticed, if you may not, but when you're doing cooking classes, and we do a lot of things on the road, and I cook with pumpkin a lot, and I've discovered that they've kind of quit carrying pumpkin in the grocery store except seasonal. They just have started putting it out. Well, that's crazy. So, and Sharon has also found some of her recipes do better with, they do totally different with the gluten-free. The gluten-free is a kind of a different little moisture entity, and right, and especially going without eggs and the coconut flour. So she finds that she has to do a little different recipe if she's using canned pumpkin as opposed to the the pumpkin that she has cooked herself. But let me tell you a little tip. It is so easy to do, to cook your own, and I'm going to show you. In fact, my sister just told me how to do this. I used to cut it all up, just scrape the seeds out, didn't take the peel off, and put it in my pressure cooker, and I knew to do that. But wait till you see this. And the pressure cooker is so fabulous because I used to roast it in the oven for several hours until I learned cooking in the pressure cooker. It only took like 5 minutes. Well, now my sister, who gave me this beautiful pumpkin here with the stem from their garden, she said, oh no, Sue, you can cook the pumpkin whole in the pressure cooker without cutting it open, without anything. So I wanted to do a small one so that I could do it in a small pressure cooker instead of getting out my big canner pot. But of course, the big one like that, I'm going to have to use my big pressure canner because it wouldn't go in any of these. Even that one wouldn't go in my big pressure cooker. So I found this little guy last night. So I'm going to put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pressure cooker. Remember, you have to have water to make steam in a pressure cooker. And then I put the little trivet that comes with it, the little insert. Just put it down so that the pumpkin's not resting right on the bottom. Don't pierce it, nothing. Just put it down in there. Lock the lid into place. This is just so cool. You're just going to love it. And be sure to lock the lid. Yeah. Ask anyone that came to the class on last Thursday. This class can only be better. That's just all I've got to say. I went home. I didn't cry too badly. I was like, oh, well, we only had to throw the chili out the back door, but it's okay. It's all right because I didn't lock the handle. So the Fissler pressure cookers have this safety lock that you lock the lid by just putting the blue lever back. That's how you open and close the lid. So it's forward to lock it into place, and then you lock the lid, the handle in, and that's what enables the pressure valve to then be, or the pot to then be able to build pressure. So you want to make sure you lock that down. Then on high heat, I'm going to bring this pressure up. Once the pressure gets up, I'm just going to lower the heat to maintain the pressure, and for that small a pumpkin, I'll pressure it for 5 minutes. So I'm going to just let it sit here, and I may tell you, okay, the pressure's up, while Sharon goes on with the soup and all that, and then we'll kind of come back. And that's what I told her. I said, don't worry about it. I'll go, oh, the pressure's up. Now we're going to deal with the, we might have to interact a little bit while she's going on with her things.
We are going to
You're
next.
on.
All right, awesome. We're going to make some, actually, it's silky pumpkin soup. Because when we get done, it's creamy, and you're going to just pick it up and just see how it's just going to flow. It's going to be beautiful. You're just going to love it. It almost looks like a smoothie because it's going to have that silky look to it. So I hope that you're going to be pleasantly surprised by all that. And I wanted to also just cover just briefly about health benefits. They're on here, but I just wanted to also reiterate. Sometimes, in fact, Sue and I were just talking about this, I believe it was yesterday, about sometimes we're bombarded by like, oh, should I take all these supplements and so on? Well, why not have some pumpkin soup for your beta-carotene, which converts to vitamin A? So there's so many ways where I'll be talking throughout our time today about how you can get nutrition. And so here's a great way that you're going to be getting a lot of nutrition in your bowl today. So you're going to get beta-carotene, which helps with many things as I listed here. You're going to have the alpha-carotene, fiber, vitamin C, vitamin E, potassium, magnesium. So there are many ways that you can get your nutrition just from a bowl of soup. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay. We are going to start. I believe she turned all this on. Now this is new to me to use this little top here, so bear with me as we get this going. Excuse me 1 second. Caleb, could you show me if that is on, the temperature of that? I didn't see where that. Oh, okay.
And then you got to turn the power level up to whatever you want.
I'm sorry, I haven't done this one.
No, that's fine. How hot do you want it?
Well, we're going to get it to boiling.
Sure.
Okay.
How long are you going to put your liquids in?
Yes. So I'm going to right now just go ahead and put everything in.
All right, so
and then,
one, so then
okay.
turn it up once
Okay.
you put everything in.
And I believe Sue is going to show us also about the beans. The northern beans you can put in the pressure cooker and have them all ready in 10 minutes. Now, I haven't done that yet because I have to admit I did the can to make this recipe. So we're going to taste, they're so good and they're lovely. So we're going to put that in there also. So we're going to just go ahead and start with these. And then as I'm doing this, Caleb, did you want to give out some roasted pumpkin seeds? we're going to try a little bit of the roasted pumpkin seeds. You can have fun with your family with this, where you can soak all of the, the yuck stuff, as my son says, the yucky stuff, soak it in water so the seeds will be able to drop off of all that yuck stuff, as I'm going to use his words. And you do it as a family, where you dry them out one night, and the next day you can go ahead and roast those seeds together. Now, these particular seeds have cayenne pepper, and you'll see the recipe there. And you can also do a little sweet seeds also if you like. So we have a few different options that you can look at. So we're going to start by just putting a little bit of the olive oil. And I'm used to seeing a fire under here, Sue, so bear with me as I'm not seeing a fire.
There we go.
And then we're going to put in our onions. And hot, okay, hot heat, okay, thanks. Whoops, we're a little stuck there. And we want to look at the onions and olive oil. We want them to cook until you see them caramelized a little bit. This is really a simple soup, because you can actually just, if you dumped everything together, it will truly turn out beautiful. Because what you're essentially going to do is, after this cooks, we're going to put this in the mega blend, and we're going to make it look very smooth texture, and then we're going to put it back in and add the milk. So it'll be real simple to do. Oh, you know what? The mega blender, just thinking. Oh, okay. Correction, we'll do a stick blender. So you're going to see all these gadgets we're going to work with. Won't that be fun? Okay, so we're going to cook this a little longer, up a little bit. Does anybody have any questions as we go along? We do also have, as we're caramelizing here, I wanted to spend time to tell you our book is available, Mommy and Me Gluten-Free, Stories and Recipes to Inspire You. It's in the back there, and if you like for me to sign it for yourself or a friend for Christmas or whatever that's coming up for a gift, please feel free to let me know afterwards. I'd be glad to spend some time with that. Thank you so much, Sue. Some people, they buy our book just because of the fact that they want inspiring stories. So behind every recipe is a story of inspiration.
Okay, as you can see, our pressure is up, and this is the safety feature on the Fizzler that will keep this pressure cooker from exploding, even if it gets overpressure. So it's releasing steam because it's overpressure. So at this point now, I'm going to lower it about half medium heat, medium low. You're going to have to just kind of figure out what that is, what that setting is on your stove. But you can see it's already diminishing how much steam it's having to release. And I don't know if you can see the two white rings here. You want to take it up to the second ring. That's the high pressure. And now I'm just going to set my timer, and I'm going to pressure it for 5 minutes. Probably even 4 would be plenty, but we'll just do it 5. And the nice thing about, these are the Fizzler induction burners. The nice thing about them is I can set my timer, and it's just going to turn itself off. So I can literally walk away from my pressure cooker at this point, and then just let the pressure will then naturally just release as the pot cools down. And if you, it'll continue cooking a little bit. So that's another reason why you can actually back off that cooking time if you're going to let it naturally release. Something else we're going to do this morning, Sharon has never done this recipe in a pressure cooker. And if you'll look at the recipe, the traditional recipe or the conventional method of cooking there says to cook it 25 to 30 minutes. All we're needing to do is to get this pumpkin soft, so we're going to cook it like 10 minutes. Soup is one of my favorite things in a pressure cooker, because soups that normally take, hours sometimes to cook, you can now do in as little as 5, 10, some of them 5 and 10 minutes, some of them 15, 20. The longest soup I think I've ever cooked is like 30, 35 minutes, and that was a big whole chicken with all the trimmings and all the broth. And so we're going to cook this pumpkin here.
Isn't that lovely? I feel like fall when I'm holding this.
I know.
Just that warm feeling. The colors are warm. Just beautiful. And it's all fresh cut. Hopefully that's all. That should all fit in. Yes. Okay, and then I'm just going to put this over there.
how did we peel the pumpkin? I will tell you, I love the
Yes.
Piranha Peeler. This little tooth-edged peeler. If you've not got one of these, oh my goodness, for your fall things that you have to peel. Now, like I said, that's why I love cooking the pumpkin in the pressure cooker because then you can do it before you peel it. Just put it in there, you know, skin and all, and then just scoop the flesh out, the meat out. But if you have to, like last week I did the butternut squash, you have to peel those sweet potatoes. There's some dishes that I do peel my sweet potatoes and pumpkin. The tooth edge is called Piranha Peeler. I guess because it has teeth.
Well, there's a reason, because I used it yesterday, and believe me, you got to be a little careful.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the nice thing about it is it will peel these heavy things, but it'll also peel, it's delicate enough and sharp enough that it'll peel a tomato. It'll peel the kiwi. It'll peel a mango. It'll peel those more delicate fruits and vegetables. So that's what I use to get the peel off of the pumpkin. Another thing, this recipe called for 3 cups of cooked, canned white beans, Great Northern beans. I told Sharon not to worry. We can cook them in the pressure cooker.
So
you don't need to buy cans of beans. So we cooked these beans yesterday, and all I did was cover them. The proportion is generally a cup of beans, 4 cups of water. So we did 4 cups of beans. And so I covered them completely with water and a teaspoon of salt for each cup of beans. And then I just pressured them for 10 minutes. They're a little al dente. So if you were going to eat the beans here, you probably would just, I mean, you know, if you were going to eat these without pressuring them some more, because we're going to put them in there and pressure them about 10 more minutes. But if you wanted to have them done, Great Northern beans are about 15 to 20 minutes in the pressure cooker without soaking them. That's, no. I mean, you could really almost sit down and eat these. You've got a little firmness to them, but that's the other thing. And honestly, for years, I thought that was the only thing a pressure cooker was good for, was just cooking dry beans, until I discovered, oh my goodness, you know, things like fresh green beans, you've never tasted anything so delicious, and you just pressure them for 1 minute, 2 minutes. You know, so the pressure cooker is a valuable tool in my home. Next to my mill and my mixer, it's there. So, all right. So we're going to add, you ready to add the beans?
Yep, we're ready.
All right, so 1, 2.
Beautiful.
3. Like I said, they're got a little firmness to them still, and I almost turned them on and cooked them a little bit more this morning, but then I thought, no, we're going to pressure them 10 more minutes in here. So we'll just let it go at that.
I've made the soup without adding rice milk at the end, just in case someone has even a sensitivity to rice, because I understand there's a lot of different allergies. What you do is just add a little more beans to it, and you can even add a little water even. So just to let you know, I've experimented with that too, and it tastes great.
Yeah. Okay. Got everything in there?
Yep.
All right. So we're ready?
We're good to go.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to add the spices too. Pardon me. Let me add that. Some fresh tarragon, and we've got some fresh tarragon also with the dried tarragon that I'm going to put in that. It's just beautiful. I don't know about you, but I just love fresh herbs, and it was just so nice to have that this morning also, that we're going to be able to put that in. Just makes it look lovely. And then we're going to need some pepper. I need a little ground pepper. We're going to let it all cook. That looks lovely. Then after we let this cook, what did you say, 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Once the pressure
this is awesome.
comes up.
I can't wait. So after we finish this, we're going to then use our little blender, and then we're going to add in some pumpkin pie spice and some nutmeg, and it's going to be wonderful. And you're going to enjoy this with a little bit of bread also.
Do we want to stir that down
in? Yes, I was just thinking that. Beautiful?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Got 1 more minute, and then we'll take it out and show them.
Awesome.
So that's perfect time.
Now the bread is spelt. Can anyone not have spelt? Okay. Now, a story about that is when I met Sue, my son, I tried spelt on him and he would break out, but that was store-bought. No offense to anybody out there that sells it. But he could not tolerate that with the digestive. But what I did was I experimented with just a little bit of the fresh milled spelt, and I made some bread, and he's been doing wonderful with it. So that's great news for our family. that's opened up a different avenue for us now, new ingredients and so on.
And I thought I would talk to you just a little bit about Spelt. I certainly don't want to tell you to do something that could cause issues with your digestive system. But I spent probably an hour and a half to 2 hours on the phone with a researcher that has done a lot of research with Spelt, and he explained to me that Spelt is in the wheat family, but it's an ancient grain. We have a beautiful new cookbook called Ancient Grains for the Modern Meals by Maria Speck. I just really recommend, if you don't have to go totally gluten-free, she uses things like spelt, kamut, barley, oats, a lot, millet. I have a little millet pudding I'm going to serve you if you can have milk. It does have ricotta cheese and things. But anyway, getting back to Spelt, I spent a long time with this man on the phone, took extensive notes. The difference in the way spelt grows and the way wheat grows, spelt actually has a hull. It does not just have the chaff. It doesn't readily shake out of the hull. And it's the same with oats. And I don't know if you're seeing a lot now that oats technically do not have gluten. They technically do, and spelt technically does. It's called gluten because it does have that protein that will stretch and rise, and that's what's usually given the term gluten. But spelt does not have gliadin, the amino acid gliadin, and that is the amino acid that celiacs, true celiacs, cannot digest. And that's the one that's usually a little harder to break down, and people that are true celiacs lack the enzyme to break down gliadin. Spelt does not have that. Even though it has a protein structure that can stretch and so therefore be called gluten, it does not have gliadin. And he told me that he has several celiac friends that are actually eating spelt, true celiacs, with no trouble at all. And now I say that to just give you the information. You certainly need to pray through and do it. But I remember I shared it with Sharon. And I mean, her son had severe skin issues that went completely away when she took him off of the gluten. Also, a little bit of the hyperactivity and not being able to focus when he had gluten. She saw none of that when she started giving him the spelt. Also, one thing I want to kind of call your attention to, just because something says that it's gluten-free does not mean that it's healthy. Most of the gluten-free products in the grocery store use white rice. And even some of the, the tapioca starches, the arrowroot, those things that you tend to have to add to even your freshly milled whole grains, those have no fiber. And a lot of people find that even making your own gluten-free grains, gluten-free things, you must use brown rice, you must use whole millet, use the whole grains. A lot of times people say, I can't mill because we have to go gluten-free. Oh no, you're a bigger candidate to be milling your own, because the stuff out there is terrible. Not only does it taste bad, it's expensive, but it's usually white and constipating. And so, but even, like I said, even the gluten-free grains I find don't have the fiber that your other grains do. And that was what Sharon noticed very quickly, that when she introduced the spelt, her son even know, and he's what, 7, 8?
Well, he was 8 at the time. When
8,
he's 9
yes,
now.
he's 9 now. He even noticed that his bowels were noticeably different with the spelt. So I've made for you today a spelt bread. We made it in the bread machine. Yahoo, it's done, right on cue.
Yay, awesome.
Whew, see, it's going better than Thursday already.
Awesome.
What are the odds of that? Thank you, Lord. And so just a couple of quick little things about spelt that if you want to work with it. But what makes spelt so nice, if you want to try it, it has the gluten that can stretch and rise with yeast. So I had to do absolutely nothing to this beautiful loaf of bread. I didn't have to add the tapioca, the arrowroot, and all the xanthan gums and all the things. I just substituted spelt in my basic bread recipe. Here's the kicker, though. Spelt, it's actually the best of both worlds. It cooks like a gluten, you can make yeast bread out of it, but when you mill it, it mills up almost like soft wheat. It's a higher moisture, lower protein grain. This makes fabulous cakes, cookies, brownies. So it is like, if you can use Spelt, you talk about going out of here free, you will just go, oh my goodness, this is the answer to all life's gluten-free, you know, allergy-free issues. So I tell you that to encourage you that, you know, if you want to try a little bit, you know, this does not have any dairy, so it is my basic bread dough recipe, and all I did was substitute Spelt here. But because of the higher moisture, like soft wheat, you will always need more flour. So in my basic bread dough recipe that calls for 4.5 cups of flour that I put right in the bread machine, I used 5.5 cups of Spelt flour. Okay? So it's about the same ratios as I told you with soft wheat. Well, most of y'all aren't going to use soft wheat because it still does have some gluten in it. But it's about 1/4 cup per cup that you have to increase the flour. So if it calls for a cup of flour, it's going to be 1.25 cups when you're using Spelt. Whether it's yeast bread or whether it's brownies or cakes or cookies or whatever, you're going to find that it's going to take a little more flour. Or you can always back off your liquids if you want, but in my yeast bread, it's just easier to keep putting that flour in there until it looks right. Another thing with Spelt, because of the different structure of the gluten, you do not want to knead it as long. So my setting on my bread machine for wheat is to knead for 20 minutes. I kneaded this for 8. You can over knead Spelt bread. So you just want to back off your kneading time if you're using a mixer. Of course, kneading by hand, you're going to notice, you know, when it's stretchy. But just know with a bread machine or a mixer, you're going to 5 minutes, maybe 8 at the most is all you're going to knead the dough here. Okay, so as soon as the soup is done, we're going to serve this nice, yummy, delicious Spelt bread if you would like to taste it. I did use the egg because egg really does help that rise, and it gives us softness. And because I chose not to use lecithin, because the lecithin, I could have used the rice lecithin, I didn't think about that, but the lecithin, the predominant lecithin that I use is soy. So I didn't use that. Well, the eggs kind of make up for that because it has naturally occurring lecithin in it, eggs do, and the oils, and just makes a softer texture there. So it does have an egg. And I also did in that basic recipe, you know, flaxseed are optional. I did use the ground flaxseed because that adds a little nice texture to it. I love the flavor of Spelt. Absolutely love it. It's just a sweet but a nutty flavor. So I'm going to whisk our beautiful, but isn't that a beautiful loaf? And that is just so nice, and it smells so good. And so I think you're going to love the Spelt bread.
Sue, do you also use the same measurement if you don't have a bread machine, to use the same flour measurement without that too? Does it make a difference?
Yeah,
okay.
Even if I'm mixing with a mixer or by hand, but that basic recipe, my basic bread dough in my red cookbook, that's what I use for all bread. And that's what I'm saying. You can substitute the Spelt into there. It's just for 4.5 cups of flour with wheat flour, you're going to need 5.5 cups of Spelt flour. So if you double it, it's going to be 10 cups, okay, instead of 9. All right. So you see where we're going there. So, all right.
All right. Fantastic. Now this is time.
I'm sorry, it'll be 11. 5.5 would be 11. I was like, that didn't work out, did it? Okay. My pumpkin is done. The pressure has released, has dropped. Another safety feature on the Fistler pressure cookers is you cannot open this until the pressure is completely released. And you'll know when that pressure valve is all the way down, the pressure is out now, so I can unlock the lid and open it. And I'm just going to open it up, and there's my pumpkin. It looks like just whole and intact here. But, oh yeah, it's done. And I'm just going to let it sit. I'm going to get a little hot plate and just set it off and let it cool enough until I can lift it out. And that's all you need to do to it. How are we doing?
Beautiful. I'm going to get ready to, in fact, I was looking for the blender that you're
yeah,
going to show me.
I got to find
it.
Okay.
Okay. No problem. We're going to have some, before you know it, we're going to do some yummy pumpkin soup and get right into a lot of other baking you're going to enjoy too. The pumpkin spice muffins that are going to be coming up soon is egg-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, and low glycemic.
Do you want to go ahead, since this is probably going to take a little while to come up the pressure?
Do you want me to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and mix something up while it's cooking?
Okay. And we'll get the beautiful blender up here.
Mm-hmm. We'll just slide you over.
Does anyone have this blender that we're going to be using at your home? Ah, well, that's who I know I can go and visit then, huh? I just really had a joy working with that yesterday. It was fun. Learning all kinds. In fact, it has, I'm sure Sue can show us all the goodies about the blender, what it offers. And I'll bring the tray over. We're going to do pumpkin spice muffins. So this can appeal to all the crowds.
Now this has banana in it.
Oh, you know what? That's for the banana coconut muffins.
Okay.
Oh, you know what?
Do you want to go ahead and talk about coconut flour and do the coconut muffins?
Sure.
I mean, we can kind of jump
Sure, absolutely.
ahead.
Yeah,
I don't want to throw off your groove, lady.
No, that's
All
okay.
right.
We'll give her back in. That's no problem. Well, we were going to start by introducing a little bit of coconut flour.
All right.
In fact, we'll bring it out so everybody can kind of,
Yep.
Jimmy, go around and just kind of, everybody smell that and look at it.
Sharon turned me on to coconut flour. I really did not know
Love it.
too much about it, but she really talked about the
And a
protein. There's a little dish
Yeah,
there.
there we go.
The protein content in the coconut flour and the
Fiber.
high fiber content. And I actually, she had written some things and I added some things that I've been studying about it since she told me about
better
it.
to smell, yeah.
And I've started incorporating it even into my wheat breads because it adds so much fiber. As you can see, 2 tablespoons has 7 grams of fiber. 2 tablespoons of coconut flour, 7 grams of fiber. So it is really, really a nice flour to add. In my reading, I learned a lot of things. Of course, fiber, if any of y'all have heard everybody heard my CD, you need to get it and hear it just to know what fiber does in your body. It's all about cleansing, keeping those bowels moving. And so important. It helps to detoxify you. And there's just all kinds of research and studies showing that fiber reduces the risk of cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Fiber helps stabilize blood sugar. And that's, like I said, another issue with going gluten-free is so many of the foods are out there gluten-free are white rice and sugar. They don't have a problem with sugar. And they think if it's gluten-free and low fat, wow, it's healthy. And it's like, no, put the fat in, brown rice. So fiber is really critical. And it's, again, like I said, it's a problem when you're going gluten-free to get that fiber in there. I also learned that because of where coconuts are grown, they're grown in areas, typically island, tropical areas, that the soil is fertilized by the sea. Lots of minerals, so therefore your coconut flour tends to be higher in minerals than most of any of your other grains. So it's just really nice to use the coconut flour. It lends a little slight coconut flavor, but nothing major. Like I said, I've started adding it in my pancakes and in my waffles, and I have a Brazilian cheese roll recipe that I fell in love with and is actually it's traditional Brazilian, and they use the cassava flour, which is the tapioca flour. Well, when I used that, the tapioca starch has no fiber. And my family fell in love with these rolls, and I thought, wow, and I think I even shared them in one of the newsletters, that here was a gluten-free roll. Of course, it's full of cheese and full of milk, so I didn't do it today. But they are delicious, and I can get you that recipe if you want it. But yeah, they did things to my digestive system that just was not good. And so I just kind of quit making them. Well, when I discovered the coconut flour, I started using coconut flour for some of the tapioca. No issues at all. So it's really great to be able to substitute. Here's some rules that I discovered, and Sharon, you jump in and share some of your things. You cannot, in a regular recipe, like one of your traditional recipes, you can't just substitute coconut flour for the wheat flour. It's not going to work because of how high the fiber is there. There's some little tricks you can do. The general rule of thumb is no more than 25%. So if you've got a recipe that calls for a cup of wheat flour or a cup of flour, and you're going to try to put in some of the coconut flour, you would not want to use more than 1/4 of a cup. Replace 1/4 of a cup. So you'd use 3/4 of a cup of whatever other flour you're using and 1/4 cup of the coconut flour. for every 1/4 cup of coconut flour you add, you've got to add a 1/4 cup of liquid. Because it just sucks it up. All right, so that's in a traditional recipe that you're going to try to substitute some of the flour, then you've got to do that in. Go online. There are some great recipes, and I'm looking at a cookbook and trying some recipes of a cookbook cooking with coconut flour to see if I want to carry it. And if I like the way the things come out, then I'll probably carry it. But there's some great recipes online, and those use all coconut flour. But you're going to find for like every cup of coconut flour, you're going to add 3 or 4 eggs. You got to use a lot of eggs, a lot of liquid, a lot of oil, sweetener, and the batter is very, very different. I mean, the carrot cake I made for you this morning that I'm going to ice in just a minute, I mean, I pressed the batter into the pan. It just really absorbs that liquid. And one thing I was reading, it was said you're going to be tempted to add more liquid when you're using all coconut flour. But now, like I said, if you're substituting flour in a traditional recipe, yes, you need to add liquid. But it said follow the recipes exactly when you're using all coconut flour. The batter is going to be stiff. You're going to be tempted to add more liquid. They said if you do and you're using all coconut flour, the batter will actually get thicker and thicker and thicker. It said avoid the temptation. So just go with it and let it just follow the recipe and just believe. You got to believe. So those are some tips that I discovered. Once you open the coconut flour, you should store it in the refrigerator or the freezer because it does have a high fat content. In the refrigerator, it's about 6 months shelf life. In the freezer, it's a year or more. So those are some tips. I think I wrote some others down there, and I'm going to let Sharon mix up her banana muffins.
Fantastic.
Here.
And then I'm going to use the new mixer over there too.
Oh, you need the mixer.
Yes. Some also things about coconut flour is not only is it gluten-free, but it's hypoallergenic. Now, because having a son that was allergic to even a carrot touching him, you know, this was wonderful to know that this is actually, and it's very good on the body, obviously, as we were describing the fiber and everything else. But that's, you know, somebody over there was saying, you know, oh, I didn't know it was hypoallergenic. So that's good to know too, to know that. Now, if somebody has a reaction from coconut, I was just talking to a lady over there. If someone does, think about maybe it's not the coconut. Maybe if it was coconut flakes, was there sulfates in it? So maybe it's not the coconut. Unfortunately, sometimes people go, oh, I'm allergic to this, but they're not seeing there's additives that were causing that reaction. And it wasn't really the good thing. It was something else that the body's having a reaction towards. So just a thought for you on, because it's really highly unusual. I was reading a lot about that, about it being hypoallergenic. It's highly unusual for people to be allergic to it. But my son was high allergic to a lot of things. So I mean, I'm not discounting the fact that that is real, that's happening, but try to add it in your diet. You'll find that it's fun to even add in smoothies. You can do like coconut powder with banana and then add a little coconut flour to it, and it's high fiber, and add bananas. You can just have so much fun just to add in that little extra fiber, since we're talking so much on that, and protein. And also, because it's so high in fiber, we're going to be making also pumpkin orange cookies. Honest to God, these pumpkin cookies are about this small. And just a couple of them you'll want because it's so high in fiber, you're going to feel full and go, that's satisfying enough. So that's what fiber does. It fills you up that you're not going to have to overindulge. And it's very healthy too, the ingredients in that. Also, one of the things that I really promote, last week I was at a book signing and somebody goes, oh, it's gluten-free. It's not really that healthy. And I says, well, actually, I promote healthy gluten-free. He's like, wow, I didn't hear of that. And I said, yes, that's important. It's healthy. And you'll see in my ingredients and even the book, I add some type of fiber, or I add flaxseed meal. Some of the recipes, I think they have canola, but I actually add more olive oil these days, so feel free to adjust your oils. So anything to add a little more health, that's what my focus is on making recipes and creating those. And so we are going to make banana coconut muffins.
All right.
Yum. And by the way, these pans, I was working with them yesterday. Love. I don't know if, does anybody have these pans? Okay, I can't go to anybody's house.
This is the USA pans.
These are
and,
wonderful.
They are truly nonstick. You do not have to use any spray, any grease,
Wonderful.
any oil at all.
And with the gluten-free, it was amazing yesterday when we were going to get to also having pumpkin molasses bread. And when she just plopped it out, they just
They just fell out.
They fell out. So it was just amazing. So how well they worked. So maybe you want to write it on your Christmas list. My Christmas list got really long yesterday. I'm like,
she's like, okay, this is
like,
funny.
I don't know if my husband wants to hear another thing I wish for.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell my friends though.
So with the mixer, we've put in the scraper here.
Yes.
The roller, just spring-loaded arm. The pin shoots down the middle of the roller. This is our servant girl for the day.
All right.
All right.
And then we need a 2-cupper. Is everyone familiar with the Mega Blend? Have you seen this work? It's lovely too. It has a mill also. I like to use this when I was here before and I milled oats. I had gluten-free oats. I needed oat flour and it just made it powdery. It was just so beautiful. So, and this we're just doing our banana. Make it pumpkin smoothie, make it that smoothie look to it and make it pumpkin. Okay. Yep. And it's so easy as 1, 2, 3. You just push it a little and then lift it up. And then we're just going to measure out 2 cups.
Okay. You want to get the other things? I'll get this going for you.
Awesome. And this mixer. And did somebody say they had one of these mixers at home? Ah, it's lovely, isn't it? Because I'm so used to stopping every time and scraping around. So he goes, nope, you just keep it going. And it's great just to see how convenient that is. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and just start adding everything in, our fresh bananas.
Another thing I noticed with working with Sharon and working with the coconut flour and some of the gluten-free flours, they all, I'm going to move this. It's driving me crazy. I can't see you. And you're probably like, it's driving me crazy too. I don't know if that's far. Yeah, that's good. I noticed that, you know, in traditional wheat bread, when you're using wheat for muffins and quick breads, typically they say mix, you know, you don't put them in a mixer. You only mix it just until all the dry ingredients are combined. I've noticed with the gluten-free flours, Sharon always uses a mixer, and
always.
So did I notice
Texture.
the coconut flour. It said mix it with a mixer. So I did want to tell you that.
And I do that, I was telling Sue, because the texture. Because honestly, when I make a recipe, I don't want to taste the brown rice. No offense to people that like that grainy, but I want that nice, smooth texture that when people sit down and go, oh, it's gluten-free. Instead, they go, wow, this is great. And then you're, yay, it's gluten-free. So, you know, it has a very appealing taste, not of, I have to eat this taste. And something that Sue and I, we ran out of coconut milk, but you know what? I just want to introduce you to coconut extract. Has anyone tried it? It's wonderful. They carry it here. We are going to, I added regular rice milk right now, and then I'm adding coconut extract. So we're going to really taste that great coconut goodness, because we're going to have coconut extract.
Because I used all her coconut milk.
She did. But
I was
it's okay.
like, oops, I thought we were done.
But it gave us an opportunity to introduce this.
Yeah.
Love opportunities. So we're going to have also coconut flour in this. We're going to also put a little bit of shredded coconut on top. So it's going to have a really goodness taste. And I think the ovens are turned.
They're preheated.
Okay, beautiful.
Yep. One thing you might notice if you start looking at coconut flour recipes, like in the cake that I made, it was 1 cup of coconut flour, 4 eggs, lots of rice milk. I mean, it's sometimes the recipe will be 2 and 3 and 4 eggs and 1/3 cup of flour in a biscuit or a cookie. I mean, it's really amazing. So when you see that little 1 pound bag of flour, just know that it'll probably go a long ways. So
and then next, you know what I'd like to do, Sue, to get everybody's senses open here? Can we go around and just smell this? Is that good?
Yeah. We can do whatever you want, lady.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Coconut extract and the vanilla, smell that difference. We won't say
these are our organic extracts.
We won't say other brands, but you don't smell it. Instead, you smell almost like just an alcohol, or it's not a freshness. This is that true vanilla bean and that true coconut. So have a little fun. The holidays coming up. Maybe some fudge that you're making or brownies. Add a little coconut extract to it. Kind of perk it up a little bit with your spices and extracts.
Someone just asked the question about the flaxseed meal.
Yep, we're doing that.
We're going to show you that. Don't ever buy already ground flaxseed. Flax seeds go rancid very, very quickly. Just as soon as you grind them, it's already breaking down. That's what I love, the little personal blender when you're just needing to grind a tablespoon or two, or even as much as a half a cup. A third a cup of whole flaxseed makes about a half a cup of ground flaxseed. So that's what she means by flaxseed meal. It's your ground.
Yes.
It's your ground flaxseed. And the little Tri-Best personal blender works great. A coffee grinder will work as long as you get the coffee out of there so that everything doesn't taste like coffee. But I love my little personal blender.
And it is so simple. It's the seeds are in there, and then all we're going to do
Might be
is
losing
just
something now with the
turn it
off
on
for so long.
And that's it.
A third of a cup of flaxseed, whole flaxseed, makes a half a cup of the ground meal, okay? And that's what I use in my basic bread, is the ground flaxseed. Did y'all get this? Sharon, the question is, how much coconut extract did you use? About a half a teaspoon for that cup?
I used actually a teaspoon.
Okay.
I love herbs and spices, so if I get a little crazy with that, let me know. Sorry. I love to kick up something a little extra. I like to add in that little spice. Like the pumpkin seeds. Was all the pumpkin seeds, were they given out, the pumpkin seeds? Why don't we go ahead and we'll give those out. Those pumpkin seeds are, oh, we did. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Oh, okay. Did everyone taste the cayenne in it? So that little extra like that adds such a flavorful, to it. So any way to add a little extra spice, please stretch yourself out a little bit to add a little bit, because people just love that. And it changes, especially gluten-free. I think you need to add, that's the biggest thing too, is I always add a little extra vanilla or grate in, which I'll show you a little bit later, is I grate in a little ginger and things, and just to add extra to that. So we have the banana, olive oil, flaxseed meal. We don't have the coconut milk, but I used rice milk, but we did a little bit of the coconut extract. The agave nectar. You can do honey, so that's been asked several times. So it's a liquid that, it's actually binding. In fact, I think I have it on here for a tip. Coconut flour absorbs really well. It works together with your sticky sweeteners, such as brown rice sweetener, your molasses, your honey, your agave. So they work together to help bind it, since we're doing with no egg. You can also make this with an egg, but honestly, I just found it worked really good without the egg, and you'll see that too. And this recipe is in our book, Mommy and Me Gluten-Free. So we're going to go ahead, and also we're going to mill brown rice flour. Has anyone not milled brown rice flour before? Okay, great. We're going to see how simple that is. I'm going to make enough. I'm going to mill enough to make 2 recipes, because we're going to use banana coconut muffin in the brown rice, and we're going to also use it in the other recipe, pumpkin spice muffins too. So we are going to do that next.
I'm sorry. I really threw off your groove, didn't
That's okay. I had my groove all set up at what's going to next, so it's okay. We're doing some things backwards, just for fun, just to mess with it a little bit, huh? That's okay. We're flexible.
How many of y'all have a mill already? Everybody? Does anybody not have a mill or not seen the mill work or anything?
Here's your time.
This is the Wonder Mill. Like I said, if you don't grind already, it's amazing. When I met Sharon, it was through her book, Mommy and Me Gluten-Free, and she came up to the store to bring us some books, and we talked, and she was not milling. She was buying things already ground, and her son noticed the difference when she went home with a mill, or someone had just given her a mill, actually, and so I sent her home with all kinds of brown rice and things like that, and she was absolutely amazed at the difference in texture. Go ahead and
well, what I was impressed with is there's a chocolate brownies, the recipe that's in Mommy and Me Gluten-Free. Our story was chosen in Guidepost March 2010, and the readers would send emails and say, we love the brownies. And it was just so simple and easy to make. However, I wish I would have said mill, because it would have been, but those are things as we're learning as we go on our journey. Because honestly, after I put the brown rice flour and I freshly milled it, I looked at that and I said, I've made those brownies so many times, because also we also used to serve for a local cafe also that did all natural, egg-free, dairy-free things too. So we sell to them also. after I did the freshly milled, I said, these brownies look different. Remember I was telling you, I said, they really do. I know it's not my imagining because I've seen this cook so well, and they just have an interesting appearance. It's just almost like, okay, I look fresher, you know? So it does make a difference, and the nutrients, as we know, by freshly milling does make a huge difference than the flour sitting there on the
So just a little quick, the flat side of the cup, this is the separator cup that goes on the lid. There's a little tab here on the lid. You just snap it, match the little flat side of the cup parallel to that tab. You just snap it into place. It doesn't screw, it just snaps on. The little hose you're just going to lift and twist out, snap the lid into place, okay? And then you just insert the hose into the opening, the little port there. Just make sure it goes all the way in. And then this mill, the Wonder Mill, I really like. I kind of gravitate towards it. It just feels a little smaller to me and everything. And it's what I'm used to because it's what I've had for 19 years. But the use on this mill is you must turn it on before you put the grain in. And like I said earlier, about a cup of grain makes a cup and a half of flour. So we're just going to mill our brown rice. Oh, we plug it in. It always works better with a power source, kind of like us. God says, Jesus said, apart from me, you can do nothing. So always plug in. The hopper here, the capacity is 8 cups of grain, and that mills into 12 cups of flour. That's the capacity of the mill. So you can really do large amounts. About how much do you need?
I believe we're going to do 4.
Okay.
And my home, at times, because, you know, we're all busy as the next person. And yesterday when my son needed help with this book here to report and everything he's doing, I said, okay, we'll do that in 5 minutes. I'll be right back. He's like, you're going to turn the mill on. I said, be right back. And it's funny because I started doing that, and then I went, and then I had opportunity to sit down, and I said, it's going to be done before you know it, and it was done. So sometimes you just kind of have to work it in with your lifestyle. If we say, oh, I don't have time, it's just, I think what it's just learning it's something new you're adding into your life. It flows into your life.
So is it 4 cups of flour or 4 cups of grain?
I think we're going to do 4 cups of grain to have enough. And then we're going to need 1 3/4 cups of the brown, or sorry, 2 cups of brown rice is going to be in here. Oh, we have to show the measuring cups that I just loved yesterday. Okay, I was having a good time just learning about these little measuring cups. So you have 1 measuring cup you use for 2 different measures that you need. So this is your 1 cup, and then you turn it over, and you do your 1/2 cup. So you don't have to grab your other 1/2 cup. And then this.
There's your 2/3.
Yes.
And there's your 1/3.
Yes.
And there's a 1/4 and an 1/8 around here somewhere.
So that's all you need.
And then my absolute favorite, the measuring spoon, tablespoon, teaspoon. 1/2 tablespoon, 1/2 teaspoon. So there you have it. Oh, there we go.
Very simple.
So that's all the spoon I need now. Don't need that whole little clanging cymbal.
Okay, so if you're really my friend, no. So you can, you know, get these for someone that you want for Christmas, or they'll be really ideal. And they even have Christmas colors, the red and the green. Isn't that fun?
So when you hear that pitch go up on the mill, you let it run just a few seconds, and the mill just cleaned itself. Something that I just discovered, because I don't do a lot of gluten-free because my family doesn't need to, I didn't even know we had this, but they actually had to make a little adapter for grinding amaranth, teff, and quinoa. Because those grains are so small, so much of them would go down into the opening and lock up the milling head. The milling head couldn't turn because it would just totally fill. So the milling head. So if you are going to mill your amaranth, your teff, your quinoa, you need to purchase this little adapter. And it just sits here, and it just controls how much of the grain goes into the milling heads at a time. I mean, you could just pour it in slowly if you want to stand here, but it's not like what I just did with the brown rice. Just dump it in with those really teeny tiny grains, amaranth, teff, quinoa. You just need to either kind of pour it in and let it go in slowly, or get the adapter. Yes? Okay. Is that what you were going to tell me? Yep. All right. We're on the same page.
Awesome.
Okay. Our pumpkin soup is up now. So now I'm going to lower the heat. And pressure this for, what do we say, 10, I don't
10
know that
minutes.
it's going to need 10, but
Yeah.
we're going to do,
Okay.
we're going to do.
At home, I have a pastry brush that's next to my mill. So however it works for you, so that way I don't lose out on all the flour. And I didn't know if you had one nearby, Sue, I can scrape it off.
Mm-hmm.
And also it helps avoid all the flour powder, the cloud. Thank you.
Another thing I've learned about pressure cooking, as you can see, even though that was this huge pot of pumpkin, it really only takes 4 to 5 minutes to pressure the pumpkin, and so it's tender. What I discovered is the more you have doesn't increase your cooking time. What increases is how long it took this pot of soup. I mean, this is a huge pot here with lots of liquid and lots of pumpkin and beans and stuff in there. It took a longer time to come up to pressure. But once it's up to pressure, just because you have a whole pot full of potatoes or beans or pumpkin or whatever it is, you still cook it the same amount of time. So just remember that. All right?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just turn this lovely mixer on, and we're going to go ahead and I don't know if you can see.
Yep, it's in there.
Just in case someone. This is the beauty of it. You don't have to keep turning it off and on and just scraping all around there for you. It's just doing all that extra work for you. You just kind of stand back and turn your music on a little bit, huh? Just enjoy it. It's great. Then as it's going, I'm just going to go ahead and add the flour, 2 cups of the flour, the freshly milled. 1, 2. It probably doesn't seem like a lot of coconut flour we're adding, but it truly does, and it makes a difference as we've learned that it's very high in fiber. It's amazing how this small amount is going to just soak up the liquid. So we're going to add also this.
That was about how much coconut
That
flour?
was a half a cup, I believe, or was it a fourth a cup? I'm sorry, a fourth a cup.
Okay, so that was 14 grams of fiber that she just put in
wow.
there.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to add our baking soda and salt. Okay, and I believe we have everything added in that.
Okay.
We're just going to see how lovely that looks. The texture on this also is very nice, I think. You'll see that when I'm just going to kind of let you look. When I learned how to do a lot of the gluten-free baking, texture would seem like always different. So people were not confident when I would show them like how to do things. And then I think it helps when you see what the texture is going to look like. It'll bring you some more confidence that this is how it's supposed to look. So we have everything: banana, olive oil, flaxseed meal, all that fresh goodness, milk, the vanilla, rice flour, salt, coconut flour. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put them in our lovely pans, and then we're going to bake them for a few. And we're going to sprinkle some fresh shredded coconut, which you can purchase this here also. You can put that on top and just smell the goodness. Now, a lot of your coconut flakes, if you get them, they will have sulfates. So make sure that it doesn't have sulfates when you purchase, especially if there's allergies. That would cause an allergy reaction.
Is this good to go?
Yes, I'm just going to just turn that off, and just going to kind of make sure that it's not grainy. That's the main thing. I was actually going to just have a little spoon to kind of. Thank you.
See, I never knew that mixing it more got rid of that graininess. And that's one thing that I never liked about rice.
You can see how it's all, and I just put that on there to show you an example of the creaminess of it. It's creamy, and that's the way it should be. You could even mix the beauty also about, I'll put this here. Thank you. The beauty also about this particular recipe is a lot of times in gluten-free baking it says do not mix too long because it becomes dry. You can mix this for a while because there's a lot of moisture in the bananas. So if you like to even turn it on a little bit more, I just make sure that there is zero grainy at all to it. That is our goal.
Okay. I'll start dipping that if you want to move.
Beautiful. And then we'll just put a little bit. Thank you so much. And then we'll just put a little bit of the on top. Okay. And are you going to be serving the coconut or the carrot cake also next? Okay.
We can do that.
Okay. since we're all doing the coconut, we're also going to do carrot cake, and you have icing with that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody here have dairy allergies? You cannot have dairy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and serve your little piece of cake. Huh? Oh, your daughter. Okay, so you're okay with the cream cheese icing? All right.
Bring it on, huh?
Okay. The cake recipe did call for sour cream. It said it was optional. I left it out, so the cake the texture was a little drier. I just totally left it out. Since it said it was optional, it said you could use butter or coconut oil. I used the coconut oil, so it is dairy-free. It does have eggs in it, but you're going to use this again? Okay. The icing that I chose to do is I did cream cheese, and then I did how many of y'all have tried any of our little seasoning packs, the little dip mixes? Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with them. I fell in love with this Pleasingly Pumpkin, and it's only seasonal, but it makes a great icing. You just dump the package in, you soak it in a little water first to rehydrate it, and just dumped it in the cream cheese. It's the only one of those packets that does have a little bit of sugar in it. It has a little brown sugar, but it's got the ginger and the spices and the dehydrated pumpkin. Just really, really nice. And so that's all I did was rehydrate it with a little water. The recipe is on the little packet. And then I mixed it with the 8 ounces of cream cheese. And so I'm going to spread it on our coconut cake. And I tell you what, I'm going to get these muffins in the oven first, and then I'll spread the icing on the cake and we'll serve that, okay? So let's get these dipping. An ice cream scoop is wonderful to dip your muffins with. Sharon and I are also having a little time issues here. We noticed when it got down to it last week that all the flyers said 10 to 12. The website said 10 to 1. However, when you went to register online, when you went to the registration page, it said 10 to 12. So we really wrestled with the time. So we're struggling a little bit, and you never know how long things are going to take. It looks like we might run over just a little bit. Is that good enough? Is that filled enough? Is that good?
Beautiful.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is add the coconut.
Oh, the sprinkles?
Yep. Sprinkles on top.
Sharon is all about pretty.
Got to do presentation.
Even my company last night, we had the meat was in the frying pan. The refried beans were in the pot. I did put the brownies on the plate.
Got it. And that's what we're going to bring a little presentation here and there so you can see when your friends come over, your next luncheon, your next dinner. If you have that plate that you've been keeping in storage for a while, why not bring it out and put some muffins on it and some fruit and some dried fruit and just make it come alive a little bit. And it's just wonderful how people just appreciate it. When we had that luncheon, people just appreciated a little extra fluff. Anything from putting your greens at the bottom, putting your salad, your tuna salad on top. However, you're going to add a little more freshness to your table.
Okay. We'll put this in
and then we finish that, and then we'll get this. Did you have another bowl, or do I need to get this one
I can
washed?
get another one.
Oh, okay, great. I'll just go ahead and take over on this one. I just want to see the smell. Oh, you can smell that coconut, banana coconut together. I think there's enough to make maybe one more there.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and start this. And this gets set right in here. And then you have all the little attachments to go with that. Okay, the next we're going to do is pumpkin orange cookies. How did I come up with this? Well, Alexander has a sensitivity to soy, so I had to be very careful with this. This is why I've used palm oil. So it's non-hydrogenated oil, comes from palm tree, and it's soy-free. So if you haven't tried that, you might want to if you're experiencing someone that has a lot of difficulties with butter, dairy, that kind of thing. So it's a safe to use. You can use it to make great pie crust, many things I've used with it. So I'll just encourage you if you like to add something else. Sure. If you'd like, you can use butter, or you can use also, I use Earth Best. Earth Best also, it has, in fact, I believe did I state that? Earth Balance, I'm sorry, not Best. Earth Balance. They also just came out with a soy-free butter also. So it has olive oil, canola oil, and it has about 2 other oils that they blend together, and it has the same type of texture. So you can use that too. Yes. Whole Foods, Harry's, I don't mean to advertise. Okay. Trader Joe's, I'm sure, you know, specialty health food stores. But I don't even think, because, you know, I've been to 2 health food stores and they didn't have the soy-free one, but I know Whole Foods did. And it does work really well. I use a lot of that kind of thing during the holiday times. Earth Balance, soy-free, they do. And it will say on the outside, because you'll need to look at it and it'll say the soy-free. Make sure it's right there in the front. So we're using now also after the palm oil, we're going to add in our fresh cooked pumpkin. Now I had to do some revision with this recipe just to let you know I have coconut flour for this one, but I do also have available, if you're interested, as you say, I'd rather not use a coconut. The original recipe that I worked with is a pumpkin orange without coconut. And you would use 1.5 canned pumpkin, and you use 2.5 cups of millet with 1/2 cup of tapioca flour with no milk. So I had to revise this recipe, and I had to kind of put my mad scientist cooking glasses on when I was trying to figure out how to work with this much coconut oil. So the revision of that would have been adding the milk in this particular recipe, and also without the millet, and you're going to get more moisture here in the pumpkin. So kind of had to work with that one a little bit to figure out the moisture content. Yes? 2.5 cups of millet. So I'm going to go ahead and add the fresh pumpkin. And yesterday, when Sue was cooking down the pumpkin in the pressure cooker, this is all that fresh. And it was so easy because after she took it out and it cooled, it just peeled off so nicely that I don't know if you noticed that, but I didn't even really have to even use that.
Yeah.
It just peeled right off. So that is really the way to go, to make it easy and make it a family affair. Have fun with it. Okay. And then Sue also introduced me to honey granules. In my book, I have like turbinado sugar, that kind of thing I use. But also I want to add to your taste buds honey granules. If you haven't used those before, the Beckers, they carry them. So we're going to add that in there too.
Did you want this without? Okay. Anybody else want the carrot cake without the cream cheese icing? Everybody else is good with the cheese? You don't? Okay.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of start by blending these 3 ingredients together. Kick it up a little bit more.
Sharon, how long were those muffins? Was it 15 minutes?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
Yes. And you know what? It might have been, if you had 350, it might be 18 because I think that wasn't as hot.
I'll check. Okay.
About 18. As long as it's toasted at the top, the coconut. And then we're just going to go ahead and add rice milk. You're going to see how this all is going to come together so nicely. Now, if you look at this now, you think, gee, it's looking a little crumbly with the butter and everything. But what's interesting is once we add the rice milk and the other ingredients, it's going to have a really nice balance, a nice creamy look about it. And then we're going to place that on cookie sheets. I think we have the cookie sheets.
Get them.
Okay. I'm just going to go and add the little moisture to that. So we have the oil, the pumpkin, the honey granules, and also here's the, you know what? I don't think we have the tapioca flour.
Oh.
Somehow that got missed out in here. I just need 1/2 cup of the tapioca flour.
Okay. Oh, I think it got put away. I'll be right back.
No problem. And I believe, has everyone smelled the orange extract. That is fantastic. Let's see if that is out or if that's put away. Ah, here it is. Need to wake up in the morning, just take a smell of it. It smells so good. Huh. Bring a little Florida in your kitchen, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to have everyone smell because it's just so good. You just can't resist. Yes, 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 yes. Mm-hmm, yep. You can see at the edge here how it's creaming together very nicely. And we got the tapioca flour. We're going to add a 1/2 cup of the tapioca. We're going to use our wonderful little mixtures here. I was looking to 1/2 cup, kind of walked off on me. Do you have a 1/2 cup over there?
Oh, it might be in the...
Oh, you know what? Got it. There it is.
Okay.
Easy
All right.
enough.
So there's our cake. This is all coconut flour.
It's awesome.
Okay?
Beautiful.
No other flour in here at all. It's very moist. It's a different texture, but it's really, really nice.
Delicious tasting. Very good.
And I think the recipe had a little cream cheese with lemon zest, and I actually made that the first time. So I've never served it with the pumpkin. We'll see how the carrot and the pumpkin go together, but I think it'll be nice. But I remember this last year. I used it for a spice cake, and just really, really loved how easy that was to just throw that spice mix in there. So, also, I don't know if you know or are aware, but the Enjoy chocolate chips that we carry that were we debated this morning with the pumpkin waffles.
Yes.
Chocolate chips or no chocolate chips? Chocolate chips or no chocolate chips? We decided, we were
do
all
it.
ladies here. Caleb, my son, was going, no, no, and we were like,
ladies love chocolate.
so,
Sorry, right?
But these are gluten-free, which most chocolate chips are gluten-free, but you still have to read labels because gluten shows up everywhere where you least expect it. But these are also dairy-free, and so that's nice. And then I actually love them because they're tiny. They're like the little mini chips, so they really do nicely in the waffles and things like that when you make the waffles. Whereas the bigger chips, I've not had these on hand, and like I said, we don't have dairy issues, so I have some regular chocolate chips, and it's just, they're too big for the waffle maker. So I really love the Enjoy chocolate chips, and we carry those here. And then of course the coconut, like Sharon was saying, I never liked coconut growing up as a child, and what I realized is the coconut you buy in the store that you probably, your mother and grandmother all cooked with, it is sweetened and it's artificially flavored. So it's got this overpowering coconut flavor. So I am in love with coconut now because it's just a nice, nutty moistness. It just adds a richness to whatever you're cooking. How are we doing there, girlie?
I just want to kind of give them an idea of what it's going to look like.
Then
and
I'm going
turn it out a
to
bit more, and then we're going to need a cookie sheet also.
Oh,
we're going
yep,
to
let me get that for you.
At 375 for a temp. And you really want your mixer on high because this is, you got the coconut flour. I mean, everything's got to mix really well together here. We're also going to add, some little cranberries also to it. So a nice presentation. Again, it's all about presentation. Have your cookie, and we're going to put some orange icing. And in fact, can I get, I know there's a sweet little girl, Lily. Lily, would you like to go around and show this icing? This is an orange icing, and it's made with honey granules. They're powdered, and we made those from the powder by using the Mega Blend. And if you want to, and everybody can even like smell a little bit. If you want them to look at the texture, it's a community thing, so feel free. If you need to even touch it, it's okay. We're okay with that. Smell it, enjoy that. But that's what it's going to look like. That's going to go on top of the cookie. And then on top of it, we're going to put a little dried cranberry on top. And then we'll also put a dusting of powdered sugar. Well, excuse me, the powdered honey granules.
I thought I'd go ahead and, while she's mixing up the cookies, show you. The pumpkin is cool enough now to touch. And all I now have to do
No. Does it get to the middle of that? Let's see. I think I need to get right in the middle, Sue. If I can move this arm a little bit to get...
all you do there is just
Here we go. We're learning. There we go.
Just grab it a couple of times like that.
Okay.
So now all we have to do to cut open our pumpkin. And that's a lot easier than cutting that raw one that's a little difficult. And then I love my grapefruit spoons.
Scoop it out. I think we're about good on that. Thank you, Lily, for helping.
Maggie, would you see if you see the little grapefruit spoon?
Did you get everybody to see the icing, Lily?
Jagged edge?
Everybody, okay. Great. Thank you so much for being a helper there. We always need that little extra help.
If you've never used a grapefruit spoon to eat grapefruit with, it's fabulous, but also for scraping out seeds and pulp, and it's wonderful. There we go. Yeah, I was like,
Okay, we're going to add just our cranberries, and I just wanted to, again, show texture, since texture is a big thing. It's going to actually have like a little whipped look to it. So they're going to have like kind of a little cakey flavor. They're going to be small and petite. Going to look great.
All right, just going to scoop my seeds out.
Everyone's quiet. Everyone must be hungry. If you're hungry, raise your hand. We're working on it. Okay, and we're going to use this wonderful USA pan cooking sheet, and we're going to see how they're just going to.
And look, see now the skin just pretty much just
Isn't that
peels
great?
off. How easy is that? Well, I guess you could, but you really kind of want the flavor of that pumpkin in the broth.
Thank you so much.
So
I've tried it that way, by the way, and it just doesn't. And I've even tried canned pumpkin. I've worked on this recipe, believe it or not, about 12 years ago. I first experimented with it. Had to make a lot of revisions from time. But thank you. I was just thinking
this
that's
is the
great.
little
Thank you.
spatula
I was just
that
thinking you were
comes
reading my mind.
with the mixer. See how it's got it's got a little groove there that just fits right down.
Beautiful.
The groove of each little.
But I have also put the canned in there. I've experienced many different ways to it, and really it's the fresh pumpkin that makes it. Plus, it's a special time of the year. You still really want pumpkin soup in June or July, so you just wait to the season when the pumpkins are ready, and then you're ready to cut it up, and then it just comes alive. It's almost something our family always looks forward to. My son, are you going to make the pumpkin soup? So it's one of those things you look forward to enjoying.
It's that comfort food again.
Exactly. There you go.
It's things you associate with the time of year that it is. I mean, do you want apple pie all summer? Not typically. All of a sudden, when the leaves change, you just want pumpkin muffins, pumpkin bread, apple pie, cinnamon rolls, apple fritters, and you can almost smell them.
Yep.
And then cinnamon and nutmeg and just the rich
all
flavors.
Together.
So.
Did you want to do these?
I'll tell you what, I'll let you go ahead and scoop those.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to, this is a wonderful kitchen assistant, kitchen machine, has optional attachments. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to use the blender here to blend my pumpkin, to puree it. There's a little piece of skin. I think I could have cooked this just a little longer, so I'm hoping it's going to puree nice, and because the other one was just so soft that you could hardly even handle it, and this is a little stiffer here.
Another suggestion when you're making these cookies, think about having fun by adding some dehydrated mandarins or some dried fruit in them. whatever you'd like to complement. If you like raisins in them. I know I have friends that don't have a preference for that. They prefer cranberries or prefer something else in them. And honestly, I think the cranberries have a really good taste with the pumpkins, especially with the orange. So please feel free to adjust with that. So we'll get these going, and we're going to try this. And then I think we're going to do, oh, are you doing the pumpkin smoothie?
I'm doing the, I'm doing the pumpkin.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Got to get it going here. It takes a little bit of working it down in there. And like I said, I don't think I got it quite cooked enough. I did the small pumpkin in the other class for just 4 minutes, but this one's a little denser.
Just heard her.
You just have to kind
Set
of
our
get
banana coconut muffins to just let us know they're ready. Let me take a little peek at them, see how they're looking.
And I've got that.
Yeah, just a little bit more, it looks like.
I've got that bottom oven ready for your. Oh, look how pretty they puffed up.
Yes, and they look lovely. They look like they need a few more minutes. And we're going to enjoy some yummies there.
I'm going to add just a little liquid to this because I didn't. The Mega Blend, I could have put the whole thing in.
I'll scoot that one or make another one. And have your family get involved with it if you want for your cookies. In fact, Lily, can I get you one more time? Do you want to just dip in and make a couple cookies here to help out? Come on up. Lily likes to help out in the kitchen. I do know that, so I'm bringing her up to let you know that every age, no matter what the age is, everybody just enjoy. You want to dip in and then make a cookie. Good deal? Scoop it in. There you go. Good job. And then we'll just go ahead and you can put it right there. Yep, and we'll put about 2 inches. And just, oop, very good. Isn't that fun? Yeah. You want to do one more? There you go. Just the whole thing is to get the family involved so they can, they'll want to eat all this freshness. I mean, I don't know of a cookie yet that a kid hasn't come to the house here and they said, I don't like it. So make sure that it's delicious and they're going to enjoy it. And they're going to get goodness. May I wipe your hands off? Thank you for your assisting. Okay. We need to bring the young in the kitchen and not forget that they need to learn all this good nutrition too.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, so our pumpkin is pureed. Little Dunner there would have pureed just right up, but I didn't cook it quite enough. And you're almost better to err on the side of cooking it too long than undercooking it like I did. I don't know why I didn't just go 6 minutes, but and it would have been fine. But there's our pumpkin puree now. No reason to buy canned pumpkin. And just really, really easy to do. Now, here's a trick I've learned. For years, I've frozen my pumpkin. I do 1 cup little packages, 2 cup packages, and 3 cup packages, and I label it as to what I do because pumpkin pie takes 3 cups, pumpkin muffins 1 cup. You know, some of my recipes, pumpkin bread, may take 2 cups, so I usually just do it like that. I've got to tell you something I've recently learned. Dehydration. Oh my goodness, dehydrating food is fabulous. Particularly this time of year, apples, zucchini, the things that that are coming in from your garden, finishing up before frost. Those things are just absolutely wonderful to dry. Most of you know about drying apples, but I have learned to dry just about everything out there. Spinach is one of my favorite things, and you may be going, dried? Yep, see, she already went, dried spinach. I dry the fresh spinach, powder it. Just what I mean by that is throw the dried spinach leaves in the blender, powder it into a powder. A tablespoon of that spinach powder is 1 cup of raw spinach. So I throw a tablespoon of spinach powder into my smoothies. If you use, and throw it in your kids' smoothies. If you do pineapple, orange, banana kind of smoothie, throw it in there, it'll turn it green, tell them it's a Shrek smoothie or superhero smoothie. If they look at you and go, I am not drinking anything green, then use dark berries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. They'll never see it, they'll never taste it. It's absolutely phenomenal. And you can even do that with fresh greens. Throw your fresh salad greens in there if you've got a child that won't eat salad. Just throw it in a smoothie. Use those dark berries. They'll never know it's there. But I love the dehydrated spinach. But one day last year when I was cooking all this pumpkin that I had on hand and freezing it all, I'm like, why can I not dehydrate this? So I took a cup of pumpkin, spread it out on my dehydrator tray, and I dried it like a fruit leather. That's 1 cup of pumpkin. This is cooked just like that. At this point, I would measure it out in my measurements and spread it out on the dehydrator tray, except now I don't have to measure it because here's what I did after last week's class, and I dehydrated all that pumpkin in the class. I powdered a cup of pumpkin, that's a cup of pumpkin dried. I powdered it, and I discovered that 1/8 of a cup of this pumpkin powder is 1 cup of pumpkin. All right? So now all I have to do when I want those pumpkin waffles is I just take 1/8 of a cup of my pumpkin powder, put about 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of hot water, mix it up, let it sit, it'll rehydrate, and it'll look just like that. How cool is that? And now look what, I don't know how many cups. That's several cups of pumpkin right there in this little Ziploc bag. So that's what I'm going to do to all these pumpkins is I'm going to fill this bag up with pumpkin powder. Then I've got it. I don't have to have it thawed out. I don't have anything. I just can rehydrate it with some warm water and just let it sit for just a few minutes while I get my other ingredients together and then just dump it in. So it's amazing. The things you can do are amazing. And food preservation, dehydration is the oldest form of food preservation that there is. And 97 to 99, 94, 97% of your nutrients are retained in dehydration, particularly if you get like a dehydrator like we sell that you can adjust the temperature setting so you can dehydrate it at lower temperatures, even your enzymes are retained. So it's just like eating that fresh, raw, that vegetable or fruit or whatever. I love drying apples and powdering them. My kids sprinkle that apple powder over their oatmeal. You rehydrate it like applesauce, whatever. Do you have a cake tester? I was just gonna how long do I do the spinach leaves? I usually do them at a very low temperature, like 112, 113, so that even the enzymes are retained. And it typically only takes about an hour. With dehydration, it's a little hard to know. It's going to depend on how thick you pile the stuff on the tray, how much moisture is in that apple. Drier apples will, a Granny Smith, a tartar apple that's not as juicy, will dry faster. So you just have to kind of check it, and you'll get to where you can figure it out. A couple of hours on the spinach is about all it takes. Overnight on the pumpkin, I just dried it overnight. I put it on before I left here and came back the next day, and it's nice and crispy. See? So it'll powder up. Okay, but that's where I make fruit leathers for my kids. Of course, I don't let them get this crispy. Actually, Caleb did. We catered a rehearsal dinner a few weeks ago and had a lot of fruit salad and fruit left over. So we pureed it all, made fruit leathers out of it. But he actually dried it until they were crispy and powdered it, and now sprinkle that in your yogurt or your kefir or whatever to flavor your children, or your yogurt or kefir or whatever. So if you don't have fresh fruit on hand, it's just a great way to do that. So there's our pumpkin. Like I said, I think I would go ahead and go about 6 or 8 minutes on that, because I can tell this flesh is just not quite cooked all the way, and it would have blended up really easily because it would have been a lot softer there. All right?
Next, I believe we're going to do pumpkins. This has got to, I didn't know. If you
Yep, I got the bottom oven ready for you.
Beautiful. 375. And you know the top of it, might want to pick it up because it's not cooking them.
Okay.
Just up a little. And then we're going to do pumpkin smoothies next. And you're going to, wait a minute, you're going to be using this for the pumpkin smoothie, right?
I can empty the pumpkin out of there.
Okay.
And we can just go right in here because we're going to put pumpkin in here anyway, right?
Harvest pumpkin smoothie we are going to do next, and that is so yummy. We're going to use all goodness. I mean, just imagine all the goodness. You're going to start your morning off and have a smoothie for your kids and yogurt and whatever else that you want to add. You can add your pumpkin waffles. There you go. That's great breakfast tomorrow. Have your pumpkin, and you're going to have a pumpkin breakfast, or this weekend with your family.
Look how beautiful that color is,
just
though.
gorgeous.
I don't know if it's a variety of pumpkin that they use, that the pumpkin's so brown in your cans. I'm just not sure. But this is actually really nice. It's not nearly as liquidy.
I was just looking at that.
So it might be a little.
Well, the smaller, from what I'm understanding, is the pumpkin pie. The smaller ones are made less with. It doesn't have as much moisture, and the larger is. But I've been using both, so knowing if it has too much moisture content, I just cut back on my other moisture. Then I even add more flour or whatever else to help.
Okay. We can just put everything right in here if you want.
Let's do that.
And
then you were going to show our wonderful little orange gadget. Got so much fun stuff.
One other thing that I thought I would call your attention to, and I meant to put it on, I'll put it on after I show you. I don't know, have any of y'all ever seen the Soyabella? It's it's billed as a soy milk maker, but it actually will make almond milk, rice milk, any of those milks. And it's as easy as putting on a pot of coffee. Soybeans you have to soak, and almonds you need to soak, but the rice you do not need to soak. So you can literally put a half a cup of rice, and I'll do it back here while she's mixing up the smoothie. Put a half a cup of rice in your basket. Just lock your basket on the base here. You fill the pot up to the fill lines. There's fill lines in there. Then you just drop this in, and the power outlet, the power source is here. It connects there. So you just drop that in, plug it in, turn it on, and it grinds the rice in that little basket and percolates the water through it, and it's just like brewing a pot of coffee, and it's ready in 15 minutes. You can make soy milk for literally like 75 cents a gallon. Rice milk, I think, depends. I didn't ever calculate that, but it only takes a third of a cup, so there's 4 cups in a 2-pound bag. So, or a half a cup, I'm sorry. So you can get, what is that, 8 pots out of 1 2-pound bag of rice. I don't think that's more than about, and makes about 4 to 5 quarts, okay, at a time, depending on how creamy you want the milk. And then, of course, if you want that rice dream, then you can sweeten it with a little honey or agave nectar, a little vanilla, thicken it with a little xanthan or arrowroot powder if you want that little bit of thickness, that some of those milks have. It's very, very easy to do. And the almond milk, and like I said, I don't have milk allergy, so I'm not a huge fan of some of these alternative milks. The almond milk I sat down and drank a glass of. It was that delicious. It was so, so nice. And a trick my daughter learned when she had to make a lot of soy milk and almond milk, the soybeans and the almonds you do need to soak overnight. And so she would just she would put it like the half a cup or the third a cup, whatever it is when you soak it, in a quart jar and cover it with cold water and put it in the refrigerator and just leave it there. And then when she needed to make milk, she would drain that and use those soaked things. But then when she made that milk, then she always soaked, put it in the refrigerator. So she always had the soaked almonds or the soaked soybeans. And so she wouldn't forget and go, oh, I need to make milk, but I need to soak the soybeans for, 5 or 6 hours. So that's just a little trick there. And I think these are, I want to say $89, $99. I can't remember. I'll go check on the price. Literally can pay for itself. If you use a lot of those alternative milks, it can pay for itself in a very short amount of time. And so I'll put some on back here and let you taste it at the end of the class if you want. I don't know. I just really don't know if you can make coconut milk. You might could. You might could. Be worth it. I don't know. I just have to really think through that process.
And this was going to be, we're going to use this, right?
Is that everything in there?
Everything is in here except for, I was going to add a couple little drops of the orange extract again. Just a couple. And then we're going to do the fresh oranges. You were going to show that little gadget.
Okay. Let's hope that's not too full.
Okay.
We'll maybe start at a lower speed.
Something new I was introduced also yesterday was this. So it's perfect for oranges. I'll give it orange.
Okay.
You go ahead and cut this orange in half.
We discovered these type of citrus squeezers in Mexico. The street vendors make limeade and citrus, like cucumbers and things. And all it is you just put your citrus, there's a smaller one for your limes and lemons, and then the big one for your oranges. And that's it.
And if you want to spice it up a little bit, you can grate some ginger. And have you grate ginger where you squeeze and just get the liquid out and leave the pulp behind? Has everyone done that, or would you like me to demonstrate that? Okay. Where's your beautiful grater? I love that. Did you use it yesterday?
Let's see.
Like looking.
Oh, right here.
Oh,
still
there
got
we
some
go.
orange on it.
Oh, good. It'll work together. And a friend of mine that lives in Texas, I'll call it a Texas tip here. She takes her ginger and puts it in the freezer. She washes it first, then puts it in the freezer, and then when she's grating it, it doesn't leave anything behind. It just grades really beautifully. So just a little helpful hint there on grating ginger.
Will you come do the stick blender? Will you do that?
Let's see if I can grate that. Did you need the space here? I was going to grate the ginger.
Yep.
And then you're going to do
that
that
No,
little
I already did it.
Oh, you already did it that quick?
I'm sorry, you didn't
Oh, I
see
didn't
me.
even see you do that. Oh, it's okay.
All right, I'll
Turn
show
my
you
head
later.
for just a moment.
I have a little private lesson later.
All right. So we are going to just grate some ginger. Is everybody okay with ginger and the pumpkin? Anybody oppose the ginger? And I can let you have the smoothie without ginger. It's okay? Okay, we love to do a lot of ginger in our household. It's like Sue and I were talking about that. If I make stir fry, my son and I, we love ginger, but my husband's just like, let me have mine before you get crazy with it, Sharon. I love it. And it's so good for us, too. It's great for our digestive and just name it. It's circulation and wonderful. They even say it's known as a pain medicine, so it helps with that, too. Inflammation, inflammatory. So there's a reason why we need that. So what we're going to do is just take the pulp, which is here, and I think I'll just put it here. And we're going to gather it with our fingers. And we're going to watch it, see how it just comes out. Isn't that neat? So then you can see you're going to get your ginger juice and leave the pulp behind if you just want it just plain without. We'll add a little pizzazz there. Now when I make this, I just squeeze it above to get, I just wanted to let you see how much juice that it makes, a little ginger juice.
If you want to release the final bit of that pressure, you can just squeeze this little, press this little lever forward, the little blue slide lever.
And then I think we're going to do the sampling of this.
Yep, I'll do I think the muffins are ready. So we'll do, Caleb, if you want to come take over here and, Caleb's the stick blender pro, so I'm going to let him do the stick blender because I don't want to end up with soup like everywhere. This is my son, Caleb. Those of you that have never met Caleb. He's my oldest son, my second child. Father of 2 beautiful grandchildren.
Aww.
Come on, come on. There we go. And see, now once the pressure gets released all the way, then you can slide that lever all the way forward, and then that unlocks the lid, so you can open it up. And you always want to, any pot, pressure cooker or not, open it away from your face. Oh my, look how beautiful that looks.
Gorgeous.
Really, really nice.
Everything's starting to come together at once. The banana coconut muffins I'm taking out of the oven now.
All
so
right.
We'll be able to see and enjoy the texture. I'm going to put them over here to cool them down.
Here, Sharon, I'll just take them over here.
Okay, and then I'll take the other ones out.
Okay.
And I'll check on the cookies.
Oh, yep, I don't think I set the timer for the cookies.
Okay. Hopefully they're good to go. Oh, there's the water moisture.
I don't know if y'all noticed a trick. Surely you know this. I don't know if you do or not. When you are cooking a pan of muffins and you don't need the whole pan, always put a little bit of water, just a little bit of water to keep your muffin cups from burning. Okay, so makes it a little harder because these would just dump right out. So now I'm just going to have to lift these out, but that's not that big a deal. So
the cookies just for a little bit, and then Sue, do you want me to pour this and give this out to?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was going to get little cups if you want to sit that there. I actually have some other cups I'll get.
Okay. Sure, there's enough liquid. You could do a little bit more orange drops there.
All right.
I'm going to put a little extra orange drops in that. Okay. I add a little bit more.
A little more?
Yep, just a little bit. Also, this pumpkin smoothie, you can add a little dash of nutmeg if you like, a little cinnamon. If everybody's okay with that, I was going to just do a little dash of that too. We'll do that on top of these. Woo, hot, huh?
You cannot see how nicely these are coming out of this pan.
Lovely.
Someone asked me, are they dishwasher safe? And I'm like, you hardly have to wash them. Maybe the muffin pan a little bit more, but the bread pans, the cake pans, cookie sheets.
I'm going to give you a little cinnamon.
Okay. Ooh, I'm going to let those cool just a little bit. We'll serve the smoothie, and then we'll cut the muffins here.
Okay.
All right, you want to finish the soup?
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. It's great. We're working together to get all this together for you. How exciting. Ooh, this looks lovely. Can we get, yep. So now we can see what it's going to look like. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add the rice milk. And again, as you can see the texture of it, if you did not want to add rice milk, you don't have to. However, after it sits overnight, it's going to thicken because the beans, you know, will thicken it.
Oh, I'll go get more.
But once you warm it up, it will become this, you know, type of texture again. So I'm going to go ahead and add. I hope that we got enough room in this one. Yes, we will. Sue, this just reminded me of that glimpse of your class you were telling me that you added so much, remember? Because I just doubled this. Can I tell you something, Sue? There must be something at the pot because I didn't make this much when I doubled it a few days ago. It didn't make this much. It's the pot.
It's me, I'm telling you.
She doubled this recipe, and it just got to be a little bigger, right? So it got to be a little bigger. We're going to be feeding the 5,000, I guess, here today. You want soup? We have soup for you. Sound like the soup Nazi kitchen here, huh? So we're going to add nutmeg, and we're going to add, again, we do the spice. Yesterday, Sue and I, we were the spice girls yesterday. We got a little crazy with the spices. So we're going to add pumpkin pie spice, a big dash of it. I should have put big dash. And then we're going to do nutmeg also. I served this at a luncheon that last week. In fact, Sandra was there last week. We did a big dash of the pumpkin pie spice, didn't we? Right? Yes. And she said, we got to do a big dash. So we are going to do that big dash and see the goodness of it. And because I see there's more here than I made last time, we're going to add even a little bit more. We're going to add some nutmeg. My goodness, that's wonderful. Not that much. Yes. Yes. Yes, and it's great. Mm-hmm. Yep. If you're avoiding, if you're vegetarian, you can also do that. Because I've actually made this. This has been about 13 years I've been making this soup. So I've made it to fit just about every dietary need. In fact, when we were invited, and when we lived in Chicago years ago, when we were invited over to Thanksgiving, people say, Sharon, make sure you bring your pumpkin soup. So, you know, when you get invited places, you get specific things where I would say, okay, I'll make the pumpkin soup or make the pumpkin this or that. So this comes along many years together with me that I've made it for many different people for different allergies or so on. And it's interesting, I was just telling Sue that there's a couple of different recipes that's coming along also with me. There's a pumpkin molasses bread we're going to be trying pretty soon too that does have spelt grain. And that was created actually for a friend of mine in Chicago. We used to have an annual Christmas party. And there was a couple egg allergies. In fact, one gal, she had to wear a bracelet because she was so high allergic to eggs. And she was actually hospitalized, so I knew the severity of it. And I'd have a table just for her, and that's how my pumpkin molasses bread came together. And I had no egg there, and she was just thrilled to be able to come every year. And she had the pumpkin molasses bread, and she had also little cheese with a little cream cheese with ginger bottoms, all kinds of different things that we did. And they were all without eggs. So I do understand that, you know, some people's systems are not able to handle that, but we're able to cook for that. That's the fun part about it all. Now, Sue, you didn't know I was going to do this, but I'm going to have you come over here just for your little taste buds. Do you mind? And we're going to have the top chef around here try to see if we need a little more or not, because we were doing that yesterday. More ginger, more this. So if the pumpkin molasses, you can taste the ginger, it's because we got a little spicy yesterday, right? I'm thinking you know what, I didn't add a pepper yet. So oops, I just remembered. Let me go ahead and add the pepper because that makes a huge difference in the taste. And we're just going to spread the goodness.
I think a little salt.
Okay. You know what? I don't know if I even put, so we'll go ahead.
That's a big pot of soup, so.
I'm telling you right now, Sue, you're going to laugh, but I promise you it did not make this much.
I'm telling you, I don't know what it is about doubling pumpkin and
broccoli
soups
and the broccoli.
Well, see, it had potatoes in it. So I'm really thinking when you double these kinds of recipes, I don't know that you need to double the pumpkin and the potatoes, because that's what happened the other day. Is it was 2 pounds of white potatoes and 2 pounds of sweet potatoes. So when I doubled it, that became 8 pounds of potatoes. And I just don't know that you need to double when you're, when you want to make that. And so that's what I'm thinking here, because she's having the same issue that.
It's all over. It happened all over. You want to try one? Should I get another spoon to see if you would like?
Yeah.
Here.
We're gonna put a little more salt.
Yeah, please do.
That's a big pot of soup.
That is a big pot of soup.
Don't get scared.
It's great. It'll last a while.
Yeah. Okay.
A little extra pepper.
That is delicious.
Fantastic.
Okay, let's stir it in.
Okay. How does that look? Does that look good? And then what we're going to do is, oh, thank you for reminding me. I don't think the timer went off the cookies, and thank you for somebody reminding about that.
And we're going to cut the spelt bread.
Yes.
So y'all can taste the spelt bread. Thank you. Oh, yeah. And if you don't have milk allergies, to add just a little grated cheese on top of that for serving, I think would be amazing. So, yes.
Now, just a tip about these cookies. Whoops. We want to make sure that they sit for a little bit, because remember, we're egg-free, dairy-free, gluten-free. So you want them to sit a little bit so they can hold, but they are going to turn out really lovely. And then we're going to add a little orange icing on them with a little cranberry. You're going to love it. Again, you can have 1 or 2 cookies, and you'll be very satisfied because they're very filling with the fiber. So we'll let them sit there for a moment.
I don't know if any of you have tried our raw milk cheeses. If you do have dairy allergies, again, use your own discretion. But you may, unless you have anaphylactic shock type symptoms, you might want to consider trying just a little taste of a raw milk cheese or something. Raw milk is very, very different, because when they pasteurize milk, it destroys the enzymes that help you, that are in there, that help you digest those proteins and sugars. So when you get a little weakened immune system going on, or even a very harsh, very strongly weakened immune system, then you're going to have digestion issues. And so that might be all that it is that you need the extra help, that the enzymes that would be there had they not pasteurized it and destroyed them might be all the help you need. Some people, my little granddaughter is still allergic to milk, whether it's raw or whatever. She cannot drink milk. Whereas I've had other people say once they switch to raw milk, could totally handle it. No mucus. Milk should not be mucus forming, just so you know. It's those enzymes. I mean, a mucus formation, whether it be just postnasal drip or a lot of snotty noses and things like that, it is toxic evidence. It's an evidence that your body is trying to get rid of something that it can't quite handle or that it's just gotten reabsorbed into your system. If your bowels aren't moving, those toxins sitting in the gut get reabsorbed into your system. A natural symptom, see, that you get all panicked about or I get all panicked about, it's your body saying, you need to get the junk out of here, and it's your body trying to do what your body wants to do. If it didn't get taken out one way, it's going to try to take it out another, and that's your body's response of toxic overload is making lots of mucus so you can blow it out your nose or cough it up or whatever. So just think about that. I lived on antihistamines before I started the bread because I was constipated, and once the bread came into our home and my bowels started moving correctly, all my sinus congestion went away. And I've not had an antihistamine or a decongestant in more than 20 years now. And my two youngest children, who are 19 and 15, have never had one a day in their life. This is huge because most of America is struggling with these sinus and congestion and mucus issues. So I say all that to just say, you know, there again, think about, you know, whether that might be something that you want to consider. It just might be that raw milk might not cause you the problems that other milk, regular milk does. Of course, some people can digest sheep milk or goat milk. It's a little easier to digest than cow's milk. It's naturally homogenized, so there's some other things there that you could do. I'm going to grate, we have just, this cheese is some of the best I've ever tasted. This actually is a yogurt cheese, and it's a peppercorn chive. So this is not a raw milk cheese, but it's a yogurt cheese, which the yogurt organisms break down those proteins and sugars. So I'm going to grate this, and we can do a little on the bowl of soup here. I love, love, love this box grater. I have my attachment to my mixer that grates my cheese, but I'm going to tell you, this box grater is phenomenal. It is not just stamped out grates, they are actually sharpened, and this is etching. These little lines are etching on the grater that make the cheese or whatever you're grating carrot slide more easily. So it just really, really does a very nice job. We have one more thing to do?
Yes.
I forgot.
Pumpkin muffins, and then we'll be able to have time.
I don't know. Do y'all want to stay for the pumpkin muffins? If you need to leave, we'll serve the soup, and just know the recipe is in your handout. We've served the pumpkin bread. We served everything except the soup and the yeast bread.
Yes. Now, yes. And we're going to also next serve the pumpkin molasses bread. Now that does have spelt, but it is egg-free, dairy-free with the spelt. Now, also, you might want to add in your recipe list there, your items for the pumpkin molasses bread. I did freshly grated ginger, probably about a teaspoon.
I'm looking for a plate.
And it might have been a teaspoon and a half even, because we wanted a little extra spice on that. And we also did the golden raisins instead of the normal just dark brown. We did the golden. I don't think you could get enough spice for that because it just has such a, that's what it's supposed to taste like. When you buy it, you're supposed to have that real harvest ground feeling of that spice. So we're going to be, Caleb's going to be presenting that with a pear, and it's going to have a pretty presentation. You can serve it with pears. You could serve it with a little bit. We do goat in our house, so if you like to do some creamy goat cheese. Oh, okay. And he's going to serve it with some veggies and our goat cheese. I'm sorry. You had goat cheese? Oh, beautiful. We're going to do goat cheese. Is
I
everybody
didn't grate
good
the
with
goat cheese, honey.
Fantastic.
Oh,
lovely. Awesome. And so we're going to have a little bit of the goat cheese that you could serve also with your company that come or for yourself. And this is the lovely, thank you, Caleb. Want to make sure that can see where are we in the camera here. Right. Okay, so this is your silky pumpkin soup. And you can see the fresh tarragon. In fact, some people, if you wanted to even just kind of look at the presentation. Now, the pumpkin seeds, instead of doing the roasted spice, you might want to do the sweet recipe. So that way it would have a nice blend, or you can even drop the seeds in for a nice, pretty presentation too. Okay? It's amazing how those fresh herbs will just change everything. And tarragon is so good, but we don't have time to go all the health benefits of that. We'll just look at all the goodness. Can anybody does not want cheese on top, has a dairy allergy, and we will not put that on top. Okay, so how many do we need? One? Okay.
Three.
Three?
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I might have missed one. Who does not want cheese on top? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
Fresh herbs, I love them. Okay. Isn't that fun? Good. And then also you can grate a little bit of the pepper also to add a little extra too if you want. Okay? Then I'm going to go ahead and start whipping up real quickly. We're going to do the pumpkin muffins, and those are egg-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, and low glycemic. Woo! Say that all day. And we're going to do little minis.
I'm going to come over there and help you
So
with the
kids
bread.
will just absolutely just love the minis, and not only kids, but big kids too. Okay? And that's what we're going to do. So we got the pumpkin, we got pumpkin soup, pumpkin molasses. Did everybody enjoy the smoothie? You could taste the goodness, that beta carotene that's converting to your body with vitamin A. Your skin's going to be glowing when you leave here. How about that? Isn't that great? You will look lovely. Plus, it'll be good for your immune system. We need that with the weather changing. As always, we need it. The cookies are going to be ready in just a minute. And then we'll put icing, and everybody can enjoy those too. We'll use an orange icing on the cookies. And feel free to pipe it if you like. I set mine in the refrigerator and pipe it. So if you want to make it a little extra pretty, a little extra this.
I just now am putting on the rice milk, just so you know. So I just put it on. I forgot to do it earlier. I can grate some more.
And these can be cooked up very quickly. So we got the oven going, and I need a spatula.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Perfect.
Okay, I'll get this out of your way. Oh, I want that bowl of soup.
And dip it in with your bread. That is definitely a harvest time feeling, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, what's great about if you have a weekend on a Sunday afternoon or something, cook down the pumpkin and just have fun. Make the pumpkin muffins, make the pumpkin soup, and look at how much you have. You could eat off, if your family of 4 for a few days with that. And I have to tell you, when it sits overnight, the spices settle in and it tastes even better the following day. And even these pumpkin muffins, I think they taste so much better the following day. Anything with that spices, when they sit down, they just sit together, they taste so good. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to add a little olive oil. I know, you're going to look at it and go, gee, all this really is going to put together, and it's going to really become something. It is. It's going to be really delicious. You're going to love it. And then we got your agave. Again, you can use honey if you like. There goes my mic, but my voice I know is loud enough, isn't it? Ditch that on. And let's see, half a cup of the rice milk. Okay, and then the brown rice flour here. Yep, I think we should have exactly enough. And then the red mixing cup, we need 1 cup. That 1 cup is around here somewhere. Oh, okay, perfect. And it was in the brown rice, so we're good there. We're going to add 1 3/4 cup. You can actually, if you like, you can turn it on the whole time even and just keep mixing. I think we'll do that to save on time. Whoops. Let's get the spatula. Oh, you know what, Sue? I thought this was all set up. Pardon me, I didn't even look because I went up. No problem. My fault. I didn't look up to see. And we will just mix it. It'll all come together very quickly. Is everyone enjoying the goodie so far? Any questions? Yeah, please feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. Yes. I personally use just the regular big, pumpkins. In fact, this is the one, in fact, I have several of those at home, and we cook them down together. In fact, Alexander and I cut one down a couple days ago together.
Most everything she used was from a big pumpkin like
Yep,
this.
everything was.
Down yesterday. We cut all the pumpkin for the soup because we had to cut one open and peel it. And so I got a big one, and we cut all the pumpkin for the soup, and then everything that we didn't need, we just cooked it down and went on and used it like that.
Thank you.
So I've not found a great huge difference. Sometimes I notice it's a little stringier, but then when I puree it, it seems to all be just fine. If I need to strain some of the liquid off, but I'm thinking it's a little harder to puree it when it's not so done, but I'm really thinking that the thicker pumpkin, maybe don't cook it as done.
Yes,
So
you'll need less liquid, yes, you'll need less, or more liquid, I'm sorry, because it has less liquid with the smaller one. The fourth cup, sorry. I don't know where the fourth cup kind of ran off there on us. Fourth cup. And then we'll just add tapioca flour, our fresh flaxseed milk.
Hey Maggie, would you see if you can find the really small ones of these? I don't know what happened to them. There's two of them, and I don't know where it is.
Okay, and the vanilla is the only thing we didn't pre-measure for that, so we'll add the vanilla. I think the vanilla was walking around, that's right. Is everybody good smell of the vanilla? Smells so good. I don't think I get enough of that. Here, Caleb, you need a little bit of that too. There you go. If you see I add a little extra, that's okay, because you know what? That's what I do. A friend of mine just recently said, Sharon, you got to measure things, because how are we supposed to do it? I said, but I look also of how it looks, or maybe taste. And it goes, it needs a little bit more. Go ahead and add a little bit. So don't be timid. If you add a little more vanilla, it'll still turn out just fine. Or a little more cinnamon, it'll be just fine. I try to make the recipes super easy, that anyone could to make these. You're going to put them all together and show your friends how to make it and have fun together. It shouldn't be stressful. It should be fun in the kitchen. So I think we put everything in it. A lot of goodness. Do you like all the ingredients? We got cooked pumpkin, we got olive oil, agave, rice milk, brown rice, tapioca, flaxseed milk, got the fiber there, cinnamon, vanilla, baking soda, baking powder, real salt, pumpkin pie spice, cloves. I'm not going to put the raisins in this since we already have so many cran raisins and everything else. We're going to have this just muffin without it, and then we're going to add, if you like, you can add even a little icing for fun if you care for. And that's how simple that was. Was that simple? Yeah, we like it simple. Just put it in, be done, and we're able to move on. And we are serving the banana coconut and soup, and everything is coming together. These are almost ready to be put in the oven. Oh, yes. Yes.
Sorry, we're running late.
One moment, let me turn this off so I can hear you, please. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I hadn't had a chance to ask you if that was cool.
I did not. I revised the whole recipe just for that coconut. It took a long time, the hours, and it was the water issue is why I had to change that out. So water issue meaning you've got coconut flour that's going to require a lot of fiber, where the canned, I did not. So do you see the ratio of the liquids? But you could, now if you want to use the coconut flour, again, you're going to have to add more liquids. You're going to have to add, you could use the rice milk. Do you have egg allergies? You could add, then I would add 2 eggs. I would add 2 eggs and the coconut flour to the canned. It's, okay. Yeah, it does work really well. But that's just kind of how my brain works. I revise recipes all the time. The things that I've been using for years and keep revising. And I change the liquid, seeing how they work by texture. Yes, I'm almost done, I believe, with this texture here. Okay, yes? I have tried that. It doesn't work. Nope, it does not work. The question was, could you replace the brown rice with the millet? And I did try that, and it just doesn't work. It's funny how some of that gluten-free, you think, well, gee, this works because it has maybe same texture, same this, and for some reason, I'm not sure the science behind it, but I know it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. Again, I wanted you to see the texture.
This is spelt. The bread that's being passed now is the spelt bread. So know that anyone's going to tell you spelt has gluten, but that's the one that doesn't have the gliadin component. So you use your own discretion there, so whether you want to try that. It's just the basic bread recipe. And that's not even the best.
Something also fun, I was just thinking, if you have your ginger root out and you're making your pumpkin, go ahead and have fun with that too. You can also just go ahead and grate a little ginger to add. Would everybody be in agreement with that if I added a little ginger to the pumpkin spice muffins? We're okay? I figure it's out here, why not, right? Let's just add a little extra fun to it. The more ginger, the better for me. Yes? You can do it, yes. You can put your whole pumpkin. My sister actually lives in Arizona. She does her pumpkin that way. So yes, yep, the whole pumpkin. Sure, absolutely. Nope. Yep. Low temperature, what would you think for put on the oven if you put the whole pumpkin in the oven? My sister does it way, but I don't remember.
350.
Okay.
You know, and just, I'd put some water in a pan. You mean like to do it like this in the oven instead of the pressure cooker? I would just sit it into a pan of water, like a roaster pan, and cover it. I would cover it so it kind of steams. It's probably going to take an hour, maybe more. Several people are unfamiliar with the spelt. And I just thought I'd show you.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but we got a little crazy with ginger while you're gone for a second. They're voting me in doing the ginger.
I grate fresh ginger into a mug of hot water and add just a little sweetener and a little lemon. Phenomenal.
Good.
Phenomenal. Ginger gets your blood circulating, gets your sinuses draining. It's fabulous for you. And very good for digestion. It's wonderful. If you have digestion issues, sip a little cup of ginger.
Wonderful.
Very great for nausea. Things like that. But this is the spelt. I just do like a cup of water, hot water, and grate the little bit of ginger in there, little squeeze of lemon, little honey, however you like it, and it's fabulous. It's like a little hot ginger lemon tea. There's no need to buy a tea bag. It's just fabulous. But this is the spelt, and you can actually chew it. I mean, it's soft enough that you can pop it in your mouth. It won't break your teeth. Spelt is mentioned in the Bible. Usually it's referred to as an inferior form of wheat because it doesn't rise quite as fluffy as your other wheats. Some countries, this is their staple grain.
Caleb, are you?
You want more spelt bread?
Do you like something next?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do you mind putting the pumpkin muffins in here? And then I was going to kind of close it.
Oh, and that's not even as great as it usually is.
Jimmy, take it over there.
Serve when you molasses.
Oh yes, you're doing that next, right? Okay, never mind.
Do
go ahead.
the basic
perfect.
recipe.
Love it. That's great.
The cook. Yeah. Just back off that kneading time a little bit. I think probably is. It's breaking down.
After I get these muffins in, we're going to add a little soul food. I believe that in our household. Not only do what we eat that's healthy, but also we need to add a little things for our soul and our mind. A couple days ago, I was thinking about, is there something that I could encourage? I was asking God, is there something that I could encourage people that come today, that what they're sowing right now, they're going to reap, because it is harvest time. And all of a sudden, I get this picture of this pumpkin seed. Isn't it kind of funny how God, our Creator, He gives us something that we get, and I get cooking, so He gets at me with cooking. So He gives me all of a sudden this vision of this small pumpkin seed, and I said, okay, a pumpkin seed. And He said, you know, out of that pumpkin seed came forth goodness, but it took time. We couldn't, after we put that seed in the ground, we didn't go and hurry up and dig it, and 2 weeks later. It took a process. And I felt that there's a wise man, King Solomon, taught us in Ecclesiastes. He said, there's a time for everything. There's a time for everything. There's a time to bring forth things. There's a time not to. There's a time to put a seed down. There's a time to uproot. And this is the time of a season that things are being uprooted. As we know, uprooting. We got this beautiful pumpkin. But it came from labor. Think about the farmer that was out there, and he was working very hard. He had to make sure it had plenty of nutrients, and hopefully he didn't put chemicals in it, right? But there was a lot of things he or she did in order to bring that forth for us. But it came from a seed. And not only in the physical that we can look at a seed coming forth, but we can also think of our life, the things that we're planting today in our life. When it comes forth, what are we going to be known as? Are we going to be known as, like I was reading an article, it just happened to come across me, there was a man and his daughter that just won a prize for the biggest pumpkin. Does anybody know about that? It's in New York, and it was over a ton. Can you imagine that pumpkin? Over 2,000 pounds. 2,000-pound pumpkin. He was very shocked when he won this, but I was, wow. And there's also a clips that you can watch of how you can grow a very large pumpkin. And there's actually a process to that. You have to have certain sunlight. You have to have a certain seed and a certain, this lady was explaining, 4 by 4. You got to prepare for all this pumpkin because it's going to come up. And I was thinking about life, that I want to be a seed that comes forth in due season at the perfect time, that people are going to be able to look and say, wow, it's not like all the other seed. It's not going to be a seed such as, oh, that's just a regular pumpkin that's right there, but it's a pumpkin. And I think that that's what our life is. I think our life, it starts off and everybody's given a seed, and you probably thought, what's that single seed doing here? It's probably not meant to be anything. Actually, it is. Today, I'd like for you to take that when you go today, and take that seed, wherever your faith is. Your faith might be, well, I'm not even sure if I believe there's somebody out there, whatever. But you might want to take and say, okay, I want to plant that today and see if somebody else is out there. It might be, I'm going to take that seed today because I feel that something is going to come forth from the seed I plant today. And you're going to dig a deep, deep root for that. And you're going to also extend out like that woman was showing on this video. She said, make sure you have plenty of room for that to grow, because you're going to need it this much and this much. So if you go in the mindset with your seed and say, I need this much and this much for that dream of mine to come alive. This seed today represents your dream. What is your dream? When I was battling with my son at a very young age, he was adopted, and he was brought forth to our life for a reason, because God knew that I'd be the mom to go, sure, I can do egg-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, and low-glycemic. Sure, I can do that, And doctors said, oh, no, there's no hope for him. Here's your steroid creams, got to go. And taking him to this doctor that was a natural doctor, MD, and he says, I've never seen such bad eczema And then there was a guilt feeling, you should be doing this cream and you should be doing that or he's going to be scarred. But I said, you know, I just feel like he's going to be healed. I just really do. And this guy shook at me, thought I was nuts. I went to the nurse. I go, is this a long list? That's the longest list I've seen. And I remember leaving the doctor's office going, wow. And I remember sitting, putting my son in the car seat and being in the front seat and crying and crying. I says, really? Why? Why must I endure so much pain? And inside I could hear the voice of God say, because you're going to help somebody else someday. And I said, really? Me? You know, this was almost 9 years ago. And I said, why are you choosing me to go through this pain? Why do I have to wake up in the middle of the night and put aloe on my son because I'm refusing to go do the steroids? I don't have a judgmental spirit against somebody that chooses that, but it's just that it was just my choice to say, I want to do this a natural way. I don't want to put all these chemicals in his body. I want his immune system to start kicking in the way it's supposed to be. God created us so that our immune system can work at optimum level. And how can I do that? And then I remember just continuously doing that and seeking it. But I remember coming home that day and opening my pantry and I said, well, what do I feed this child? They just said if he eats a carrot, he's going to react. If he eats a banana, he's going to react. And I remember just going all this list. And all of a sudden, it rose up saying, Sharon, work with what you got. And I was like, really? A seed? That's all I got. Well, a seed can bring forth so much in your life. What is your dream? You know, it's funny because sometimes we forget and sometimes our dreams die because of the fact that we're so overwhelmed with what we're being dealt with, so to speak. And I remember at 18 months when the blood work came in and I said, wow, you know, this is a lot. This is a lot. And people wouldn't believe this. They said, come on, your son doesn't really have that much. No, I'm just making it up. You know, I'm just making this list up. It was blood work, so we know through the blood it's very valid what he's battling right now. But I have to fight for him. My season at that time with that seed was to fight for my son and to help others someday, which I didn't know that that's what the Master's plan was. I just knew that time and that day is what I had to do to get through the day. I can tell you for 1 year I didn't have sleep. It was uninterrupted because my son would cry in the middle of the night because he was in pain from his legs bleeding from eczema breakout. Something at dinner just didn't happen. I said, oh, I don't think that was on the list of the stuff. Call the doctor and she says, oh, by the way, sometimes it's a slower reaction. Oh, great. She said sometimes it'd be 24 hours before you'd know. So I'd make a notation, 48 hours he reacted to this. So it was being a scientist, you know, trying to figure out what was going on. And then soon, it was before his second birthday, I said, I'm going to make a cookie that he's going to enjoy. And here I did. Was in the kitchen. I remember being 1 or 2 in the morning and just getting crazy with olive oil and getting crazy with all this stuff. Go to some neighbors and go, hey, you want to try this? You want to try this? Some was pretty scary, I will admit, but I was in my seed time. And I didn't know how deep I was going to have to put that seed in until breakthrough happened. Probably about 4 years ago, Alexander started greatly improving. And my pediatrician stuck with me this whole time. He was so positive, wonderful man, Dr. Abrams. And he would just continue to encourage me, Sharon, you're doing the right thing. I know it's really tough probably to see, but he was calm and he was patient with me. I felt that, guess what? I was seeing some sprouts coming up. When you start seeing sprouts coming, you start to see that this is where I'm supposed to be. And then next thing you know, all these people started coming to me, hey, Sharon, your son's doing better. What are you doing? But I want you to know at this time when I started the seeds, play groups, people are going, boy, your son looks like he needs some medicine. Oh my, go into the store. Hey, do you know your son, he's breaking out here. I mean, amazing the things that people would come up and tell you. But I thought, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. He's going to be healed. And in the process of that journey, I continued to make notations and continue to write things about how things worked for my son. And I said, I hope to God somebody else will be able to use this for their life someday. And about 2 years ago, it greatly improved. Alexander he's now starting to do eggs. That's a good thing. But we don't do them a lot. We just do them here and there. But we don't do any of the dairy, but he's doing great. We don't do any of the gluten except for spelt, and that's very little. We'll do some breads. But that all came forth from a tiny seed. And I think today, a couple of days ago, when I was listening about King Solomon and what he said, he had wise words that we really need to just take in our heart. Take that root. It starts from, there's a time for it to be sown. There's a time to uproot it. There's a time for everything. And in that time, when it actually gets uprooted, that is the time that everything is made what? Beautiful. There's a time when everything is going to be made and it's going to be beautiful. And now my son, he is a great example of that. He has beautiful skin where now it's funny because now we're out of that season where it's like the pumpkin season, and it's like his skin is so smooth. People say, and they don't know that his skin is so beautiful. Really, thank you. You know, before I remember people used to come up, your son's skin, woo, let me tell you, there's some good chemical cream you can use for that. Thank you very much. That's a hard walk. And I think I want to encourage people that are coming, because since this is allergy, that, you know, it's tough sometimes to battle something you just know in your intuition, or that gut feeling, like, and through God, it's like, I know I'm supposed to be doing this. Can I encourage you to surround yourself by others that think that way? You know, Job had, you know, think of what Job went through. Whoa, you know, he had to go through a lot of discourages around him, but he kept battling through and battling through and battling through. But that's where we need support to help us. So I think the biggest thing that God wanted me to tell you all is that it starts with a seed. You don't know that someday, if your love is baking, that you're supposed to be coming up here and encouraging young women and say, guess what? You know, I want to tell you how much better I'm feeling today. We just don't know what is being brought upon you. And you could have today a feeling of, man, I'd really like to do this. Then do it. You're not supposed to delay. Delay does not help. Well, tomorrow I'm going to plant the seed. Just think of the farmer. If the farmer said, well, guess what? I'm going to wait and plant in those seeds, we would not get a bountiful harvest. We can't delay our time to plant seeds. And some people say, well, gee, isn't it only springtime? And only, no, we plant seeds anytime. And you could even drop a seed because you might be wanting to help somebody. You could be a seed planter. Maybe you say, well, you know, it's not in me. I'm not an entrepreneur and I don't do this. Maybe that's not your spirit, but maybe you're supposed to go and encourage somebody and help that person get to that dream that they have. We've all been given a dream. We've all been given a seed. So I leave with this is, what are you going to do with your seed? Are you thinking about it now? What's sprouting up inside you right now? The first thing that comes sprouting up from you, you might be saying, I want to help children. Children are not being helped enough. And people are not understanding the fact that my son is struggling, but I need to help children. You know, I might need to start something at my church to get them more connected, to understand that this is real, but they can eat and be healthy. There's something in your spirit. And it doesn't matter our age. I have a dear friend that's 74, and she just got a position as a management position at a health food store. And she is soaring. Age has nothing to do with our seeds, but she planted that seed 4 years ago when she made a suggestion. There's a store that needs to be put together, and I promise you, she went to the owners, it's going to make it, and it's going to be huge. Will you please trust me? They're like, well, you know, I know I got the energy. I know I have the strength. And guess what? 3 or 4 months ago, that store came forth. And she is shining. And she's almost the #1 store of, I think there's 6 or 7 now. And she is doing outstanding. She didn't say, I'm going to let my age get in the way. She said, I had a seed. 4 years ago, I thought of a store where it should be. And now I'm helping people day and night. So it doesn't matter our age. It doesn't matter all that. Put that at the side and just take your seed forth. That's my encouragement for you today.
And this is Sharon. This is what she wanted to do with the bread. So see, you can make these gluten-free recipes. You can still present them as very lovely, as very appealing, instead of, here, you can't have the good stuff. Here's the stuff that, you know, and just go the extra mile with it. And that's what I fell in love with Sharon, is that she takes the food that, you know, we sometimes think, oh, it's the second best because we can't have the other. And she makes it the best. And she makes it one of the tastiest dishes on the table and presents it in a way that she's proud of, instead of, here, you eat this while we eat that. So these are the little orange cookies that we'll be passing around. Caleb is working on the beautiful pumpkin bread with some pears and cheese for y'all to enjoy. I hope that you enjoyed the class, the muffins, the pumpkin muffins. Sorry that we were late getting those, but they're coming. Here's the, wow, it's hot. The rice milk is already done. There it is. You're welcome. If you want to taste it, it's hot, and I didn't sweeten it or salt it or anything like that, but you can, like I said, flavor it up. Just a couple of products that you might want to look at. We do carry the coconut flour. We carry all the xanthan gum, the arrowroot flour, the tapioca starch, all those things that you do need to use if you do go to gluten-free trying to make yeast bread. We have a great class online. Denise Rogers does a great class of teaching the yeast breads and things like that. We now carry the agave nectar in a gallon jug. I know Sharon uses it. We carry the coconut oil in the gallon containers and the jars. We have, of course, the Enjoy Life chocolate chips. These are absolutely delicious. We're going to be sampling them out in the store. This is, I just found these in Baltimore at the Natural Products Expo that Brad and I went to just a few weeks ago. These are gluten-free cookies, and instead of being a rice flour or whatever, she uses garbanzo bean flour. So you've got the good bean flour, and these are the best gluten-free cookies I have ever tasted. And I know we can make delicious ones, but in a pinch. There's 7 cookies. They are $5.99 for the 7 cookies, but it's just great, stick in your purse kind of thing. Wait till you taste the chocolate, the double chocolate ones, taste like an Oreo cookie. They're fabulous. So, and we just got the shipment in. We were out of the chocolate, so Karen just showed me that these are in. So those are some things. The ancient grains for modern meals. I'm hoping to get Maria Speck in here after the first of the year to teach a class. You will love those grains. Y'all enjoyed the spelt bread. Everybody's saying how delicious that was. We sell it in pails or by the big buckets. Don't forget, there's some wonderful salads. There's, in fact, a spelt salad, a boiled spelt salad in my red cookbook. Makes wonderful salads like that. Sharon has the Mommy and Me gluten-free that she's going to be signing books for if you want to purchase this and hear some of her stories and have her share some of her favorite recipes. She did write this book before she started milling, so you'll see her using certain flours. Just know that you can make those. The garbanzo beans can go in the mill, so you can make your own garbanzo bean flour. I do want to call your attention, my wonderful daughter Abigail is back here. She's a cosmetologist, and another thing that Brad and I found when we were in Chicago is a very pure skincare and makeup line. Really, 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 we need to start thinking about what we're putting on our skin. It goes straight into our bloodstream very quickly. And if you don't believe me, tonight when you go home, go off by yourself, but put a clove of garlic between your toes, your big toe, and in 15 minutes you will taste it in your mouth. That fast. It is not broken down in your liver, does not go through your digestion, it goes straight into your bloodstream. It's very, very fascinating. So we just need to really think about that.